Oh, wait.
Hello and welcome to DCP Plus Side Quest. This week,
hello,
we're drinking.
Hi.
We're drinking. That's what we're doing. That's the whole show.
Bottoms up, ladies and gentlemen. Happy New
Bottoms
Year's.
up. Happy New Year.
Happy New
Brought coffee.
Year's. Got cheers to the screen.
Yeah, we got to cheers. Everyone in the audience, grab your glasses and hold them up to your phone or your TV. Let's see if the camera breaks forever. Ooh, that's what it looks like when you're drunk. If you're too young to drink yet.
So how's it? We're halfway through the holidays, right? Is Thanksgiving part of the holidays?
Majority.
We're majority of the way.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
so. Christmas is like the big because you got so much family stuff. Once you hit New Year's, it's like your personal traditions and rituals and whatever you want to do going into the new year. Whereas like Christmas and around that time, there's a lot of expectations you got to overcome.
There's a lot of chores.
Yeah, that too.
We're currently in the period of time where you're like, what's going on? Dunno. Just walking around aimlessly. It's like after Christmas, before New Year's, it's like, what is this? What is this? You don't know what day it is. You don't know what you're supposed to do. It's
were you the one who tweeted that like it should just end after Christmas? Like it should be January 1st.
Yep.
I love that.
People were like, but I want time off work. And I'm like, you can still have time off because there's people who don't have time off work right now. That's up to your employer.
Yeah, but I like that week though. It's like this chill zone. You finished like that big event where there was a ton of responsibility. Like you had to really act like an adult. And then you get that out of the way, and then you're like, you got a week to cruise into what are we doing with my friends? Like, who's having the party? Where's the party at? Like, what alcohol do I want to bring to the party? That's a big decision.
I think my brain just really struggles to go from like vacation to normality. So when it's in this period of like, it's kind of still the holidays, but like not really, my brain's like, so what do we do?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it totally is until you get past New Year's, I'd say. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Depending on the type of jobs. Like, some people don't have that luxury, but others, it's like,
people are working all holiday.
Yeah, it almost becomes like a tradition, and I feel like pressure almost in some jobs where it's like, well, aren't you just going to take off the last of the week of the year as well anyway? And you're like, well, because like when I worked at IGN, it was very quiet because everybody did. But then there'd be almost like, I felt like a quiet pressure of like, well, nobody's in, like, what are you going to do? And it's like, that's not my problem. Like, I'm going to get all the things done that I wanted to get done with you bothering me. So
my wife
sometimes I would do that.
Did this, what you're talking about, France. She did not take this week off, and she's been going to work all week, and it's empty in there. It's like a ghost town, right?
It's nice.
She's just doing whatever the fuck she wants, and just like coming in and leaving whenever the hell she wants. She's loving it.
Yeah, as former manager, though, I can also say there's the reverse side of that is then as a manager, it's like, you're like, okay, well, then your managers are asking you, well, what are they doing? What do you have them working on? What's some good end of the year projects? So it creates like end of the year work for you, which is fine. Again, that's no problem, but that totally happens. Like maybe she didn't think about it. I don't know if she's a manager or has one, but sometimes they feel that pressure where they're like, okay, well, now I got to tell my boss what they're working on. So we all seem productive as if we're not doing our jobs anyway.
This sounds like America sucks.
Corpus. Sounds like Corpa.
Yeah.
Screw America. Down with the USA.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Don't deport me.
Don't deport me. Thank you.
Man, I'm just staying productive. All right. Yeah. Now that I'm saying it out loud, I'm like, I guess it was my fault. Nobody really was. It wasn't that bad. It's always power per hour, baby.
I will say, whoever is listening that is not have an occupation yet, is in like college or something, like if you're one of those people, and like after Christmas between then and like January is like prime time, whatever video games I got, just amazing.
That's what I'm doing right now, Lego. I got a copy
what are you playing, Brian?
of Liza P. I think I talked about it last week. It was on its way in the mail, and like
you did mention.
I had heard Watts talk about it for like a month straight, and she made it sound really good. So I was like, it was on my list. I don't play as many games in the summertime. It's really in the wintertime where I like.
He goes outside. It's really strange.
Like some kind of animal. So I was really excited to get this. You know, it was really well regarded. I gotta say, I really dislike this game. First of all,
Wow.
the treatment of rabbits in this game I find to be extremely offensive.
Are they barbecuing you a bit too much?
They're doing all sorts of bad things, but they really don't like rabbits. Also, this
I don't
game
remember
keeps
that.
calling
I've only played like 10 hours. But
this game keeps calling me heavy, and you know, I'm working on it. Game.
you do a heavy roll as well, don't you? Lumbered. Oh yeah.
Are you wearing too much armor, Briar?
I'm just trying to be safe out there. You know, it's COVID time still.
Yeah. I hear that. I hear armor works with those big gratings on.
Yeah, it's like I got N95
protected.
Armor. Also, the main character looks exactly like Timothée Chalamet from Dune, who my wife has a huge crush on. So I've got to hear that the entire time.
So all of a sudden, she's like, Briar, I love it when you play games. Let me watch. Come on, it's quality time.
Game. Honestly, though, I'm having a blast with the game. It's been really fun. I'm just like deep diving, playing in like 8 hours a day, and just like,
dang,
you know what?
Deep.
You know what I do that's really weird with these like Soulsborne style games is because there's so many things that you can miss.
Like the rabbits?
Like the rabbits. I will often play the game, right? I'll play like a couple hours of the game, 4 hours of the game, and then while I'm like eating lunch or something, I'll turn on like a YouTube channel, like Fighting Cowboy or somebody, and then watch the walkthrough of the portions that I've already done, just in case I missed anything.
That's a good idea.
Or to see,
Are you a completionist?
No, not really, but
okay.
You know, like these kind of
games. If there's a thing that you're gonna love, you want to know if you've missed it instead of waiting to the end of the game, right?
That's I get that. Where it's
like that was a weapon that I would have loved and used the whole way, and I missed it. That makes me sad.
Or even like
I'm the opposite.
You jump off of a bridge, and under that bridge,
Jesus,
there's like a big upgrade material, and like you miss 4 of those, and over the course of the early game, it can make a pretty dramatic difference.
That for sure, but then like so wait though, after you go through, you do a sweep is kind of what you're saying. You're like, well, how did I do it? And then you kind of are checking a video to be like, did I miss anything? Then I go grab it real fast, right?
I'm watching the video for enjoyment
sometimes.
As well, because like I'll be eating lunch, or I'll be doing chores or something like that, and I'll put like headphones in, I'll have it on my phone, and I'll just like, I'll keep an eye on it, and like if I hear something funny, or if I hear like some okay, so here's one thing about Lies P actually that is really interesting, is it has a guide in the game. And this guide like explicitly goes through all of those kind of like Dark Soulsy, like arcane knowledge types of things, and explains them all perfectly. Like if you want to know like, well, what percentage of gear can you carry before you start doing like a mid-heavy roll or a fat roll, like it explains it exactly. It explains what all the damage types are. It explains all of the attributes and how they'll affect like the weapons that you carry and the damage that you do. So if you're like unfamiliar with these things, or if you haven't played one in a long time, maybe since I don't know, Elden Ring in my case, like it's really helpful. But it's funny because this game is so exactly a Soulsborne game. Like it's so exactly like we're just making another one of those that knowledge transfers over. So it's like they have different names, like they have like different names for arcane or different stats, but they're the same thing and they work the same way. But it's very well done. It's very fun.
Well, I wanted to point out, based on the thing you said, it's very interesting because one, I'm the opposite. That's not as interesting as the point I'm about to make, which is the way that people play games is very different. And if you've ever watched me stream or heard me complain about streaming, I'm always like, just nobody likes backseaters, right? But it is specifically for a lot of reasons. But one, I just enjoy, I always say, as the game presents itself to me. So people be like, oh, but what have you missed?
Yeah.
And everybody does it different. But I'm like, but that's how the game is designed, and this is how it's happening to me. Don't influence me with that. So that's like a big thing that I do. But I was gonna say some games, and I'm gonna use Last of Us 2 as an example. They do things that make you think, yeah, like, wait, I just want to get the good skills because I do want to enjoy the gameplay to the fullest.
Right. Yeah.
And in Last of Us 2, as an interesting example, it just drove me nuts. Like, you can like open the drawer in every kitchen, and you're always like kind of like, this is not that fun after a while. But I like the realism of like, but you're scrounging, right? It's like, you know, this ruined country. So what I did was I would do a sweep, like I was saying, but then they had that accessibility setting, where you could use it to identify like, oh, there's stuff in this drawer or whatever. But the way I did
they had that? I didn't know that.
So the way I did it, though, because I didn't want to ruin the game as it presents itself to me, so to speak. So I'd do my thing, just kind of like natural and sort of to the point I could tolerate. And then I'd turn away from the area and go scan it. If I heard like, boop, oh, okay, there's something there. Like, but it trains you on this, like, oh, there might be a shotgun in that drawer, you know? And like, there's a lot of ways to look at that. But in any event, yeah, I think that can be a problem in some games. But that tool actually helped me a lot. I was like, that's kind of met me in the middle.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that was one of my problems. I loved Last of Us 2, I think more than most people did, but that was one of my problems is you had to look every fucking goddamn place. Like,
yeah,
just
exactly.
everywhere.
Yeah, that saved me a lot of time to do it that way. I was like, okay, I just played it my way, and if I heard something, and I don't think you could tell what type of thing was in there, but if I was fed up with it, I'm like, okay, well, I already did it the way I would have done it.
Nice. Yeah,
but
so
that's
I'm really
cool. So you're enjoying Liza P.
Liza P. It's
so
it's
good.
definitely not like you can see some differences between like FromSoft and these guys. Like obviously FromSoft has like a bigger budget to work on their games, but I really like this one. The combat feels really fun. It's an interesting world. There's more going on than initially you think from like watching a trailer or anything. And it's just kind of fun to like see somebody like take this kind of like kind of story that you know so well and just kind of like turn it on its head and make this kind of like real dark video game about it. I'm really enjoying it.
I can't wait for you to get to the end. Can't wait. Well, they did nerf. So the beginning part during the demo, people were really struggling with. So they nerfed the beginning part once, and then I think they nerfed it again because they really wanted this to be a game that doesn't just like kick you out right away from being difficult. They wanted it to feel a bit more approachable.
Yeah, none of the bosses have I had to attempt more than like 3 or 4 times.
What was the last boss you did?
I just did. I don't want to say the name of the boss because I think that's kind of a spoiler, but it was on the main stage. If that makes sense.
Right. Yes. Yes.
And that was. It took me 2 tries.
Wow.
Yeah. So. Okay.
Probably because you're watching that guide and going back and getting all those power up. No, I'm just kidding.
That's true too. I'm not missing a thing.
You're not missing it. But no, you're grinding more, so you're maybe going to be more powerful. Maybe. I mean,
I'll tell you what, it is really frustrating in a game like that whenever you don't do the whole scan back and there's like some vital like shotgun. Like you gave shotgun as an example earlier. Like there's some actual weapon that you missed and you got to fight some boss like that is designed for you to have that weapon so it doesn't feel like you're just blowing through them. And then you're like, why was this fight so hard? And you watch another video and some guys got the shotgun and you're like, oh, that's why.
I feel like that happened to me in a Resident Evil game where I was just like,
that's exactly what I was thinking.
Boss. And
Like,
yes.
I had no idea. Like, why is this so hard? It's such a difficulty spike. I think this was like pre-internet too, so I just like abandoned the game and like came back to it years later and found a shotgun.
I remember this exactly. Yeah,
Like,
the
that's what I had
shotguns
in my
are
head.
so powerful in Resident Evil.
Yeah,
they're so powerful in all of those games.
as long as you got ammo.
also grenade launcher with acid rounds, very good too.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Mhm.
I gotta get one of those. Do they sell those at like local gun shop?
Probably.
You can kind of get one in Liza P. Kind of.
Yeah,
Kinda.
I haven't gotten that yet. Boy, I'm looking
Kind
forward
of.
to it.
Not really. Kind of close. Close enough.
Oh, also for Christmas, they released some costume stuff. So you get to wear a Santa hat and a red reindeer nose,
Oh.
like Rudolph the reindeer. which is amazing during the cutscenes when everybody's acting all serious and you're just standing there
awesome.
with a big fucking red nose.
Yeah, I really always enjoy that, and especially games like that where you have a very custom feel and look. But when you get to see it up close in the cutscenes, it's such a nice payoff.
Yeah, I like it when they put it in the cutscenes. I don't like that you have to, like, your costumes are separate from your armor, because I do like that about Dark Souls games where you wear like dumb looking armor because it's the best armor, and you walk around looking like a potato.
So you need that transmog.
Destiny.
Sorry, go ahead, Watts.
I was gonna say, speaking of making your character look crazy, I started Monster Hunter World again today.
New playthrough?
New character on PC, because I had played on PS4, billions of hours on PS4, and that's partially why I did not switch when going from PS4 to PC, because I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it. I did do it for Rise because I had slightly less time in Rise. I had quite a bit less time in Rise when it came to PC, but also going from Switch to PC is much bigger than PS4 to PC even. It's like, yeah, it's a big difference. So yeah, I'd never played on PC before. It still looks fantastic 5 years later. Looks incredible. Playing at like 144 frames, which is awesome. And the reason that I went back is because, well, I'm always down to play Monster Hunter, but they're doing this whole thing of return to world on the Monster Hunter socials, because they obviously announced the new Monster Hunter coming in 2025. So they're now doing like their 67% off for Monster Hunter World. So you can buy Monster Hunter World and Iceborne for like less than $20.
Oh.
And that, man, it's Monster Hunter World has had like 120 to 130,000 people playing recently.
Wow.
It is a lot of people have come back, and there's a lot of people starting for the first time too, because they're seeing this whole return to world thing. There's like a big community playing at the moment, and people, you know, maybe they missed it 5 years ago.
Everybody, come on in.
Yeah, seriously. Seriously. It's man, Monster Hunters. I made my character look really high. So in cutscenes and they're explaining stuff, she's just like, "Oh no, dude." I'm just like,
Can you go to that first part again?
Just show me where to hit the guy. I don't know. It's great. It's great.
That was awesome.
Yeah, it's oh man, it feels so good to be back. I didn't play a ton because the intro is kind of long-ish. So I didn't get a ton of hunts under my belt, but man, it just feels good to just have a new character, especially after like the last time I played World was probably like 3.5 years ago or something.
Yeah,
so if I did it right after,
almost 30 FPS on the PS4.
Yeah. So playing at 144 and everything's so smooth, and it feels great, and it feels good to have such a big break between it, because now I have this new character and I'm like, oh, I want this, I want this, I want this. It's kind of like playing the game for the first time, because I don't remember a lot of the beginning part of the game. I don't remember anything. So
I'm surprised they never brought that out, like a port for the PS5 and the Xbox Series, the Xbox 4.
Yeah.
Seems like a no-brainer. Would have sold.
It definitely would have. Definitely. Fran, you never played Monster Hunter World, right?
What was the one I played a little bit of? Was it Monster Hunter World, I guess, the latest one?
That was Rise.
Oh, I played Rise.
You totally
That's very
missed
different.
World.
Yeah, World, and I've seen plenty of, World is much more open, right? Yeah, no, I mean, I would have. There's like so many games, as you know, that you could name that I would want to play, but I need to spend like hundreds of hours in these games, and it's just, I need to game more, I guess. But no,
I'll say people are really enjoying watching it right now too.
There's some good time. Yeah, I mean, you bring up a good point. These like beats where they're like, "Well, we announced the new one, and so everybody's getting back into it," and they know that's going to happen, which is probably why it's on sale and some other stuff. But no, didn't have that chance. I did have a related question, which is when I saw the teaser, as someone who is not like Monster Hunter educated, I was like, why should I be excited? Is it because it's going to be even more open than like Monster Hunter World? Like, what was the trailer telling us above all?
There's a
with
new
the next
Monster Hunter.
That was it? Like, yeah, I was like, what's the message here?
So there's we actually watched it again today, and there's a monster at the beginning that looks like a variant of one that debuted in Monster Hunter Rise, and he's very popular, so that got me really excited because he's just a really dope monster. And then for me, like I think from what a lot of people have taken from the trailer is that it looks like it could very well be an open world Monster Hunter, whereas right now it's kind of like, you know, there's biomes, and in world they're massive, and it feels very open in world. But in Rise, it's definitely a lot more traditional, where they're not as open, they're not as like there's not as much verticality, whereas in world there's so much verticality to all of the maps. So we're kind of thinking that it's going to be open world. Maybe you have the thing of like there definitely will be a hub, but maybe there's also like you can build your own base or set up your own base, so you're always like in the world. I would kind of assume that that's what's going to happen.
But that's where I get confused, because I was like, Monster Hunter World was kind of open, right? It was more open than Rise. Was it just a bunch of different maps, so to speak, that weren't connected? That was okay. So the difference would be potentially it could be all interconnected, maybe. And
potentially,
maybe.
Yeah, but the most exciting thing is that Monster Hunter is one of the best games ever made. It's a game that you can put in thousands of hours for the money that you spend on it. It's so good. Combat's some of the best. Monsters are the best.
An upside.
It's just, I mean, you don't have to. You could play just the campaign and you get like a really good feeling of it. But
I put
Monster
in like
Hunter is
100
so
hours
good.
to the world, and I had a great time. But
it's just so good.
I had a topic related to this. I'd be curious what you guys thought. The idea, it's because I'm playing Starfield and I talk about it a lot. I'm like, if you were playing, I think I said it the last show, if you're playing Starfield, I came back to it, to try to beat it, I think you're maybe playing for the wrong reasons. It's not like it's wrong, but it's just if you're trying to get it beaten. But I was curious, like, we have this conversation as gamers, like, did you beat? Like, Briar, did you beat Pikmin 4?
Almost. I'm well on my way.
Lies of Pikmin. So we always say that. Did you beat it? You know, and like I'm sort of like, but actually, there's all these people who beat games that I would argue like you didn't really like play it at depth at all. Like, you know, whatever. Elden Ring is a good example where I put in like 300 hours, and that doesn't make me any better. It's just the way I played it. But man, did I get like a ton of gameplay
on this guy.
and experience on it. So like again, like why is it that we think? I guess the point I'm trying to make is, I think beating a game sometimes is not really playing it and getting enough out of it. I think sometimes people just beat games. I'm like, man, you really missed out. Do you think that that's like, why do we always say, did you beat the game? Just for the story, I guess.
Probably for
or do you disagree with me?
Yeah, and being able to like talk about the story with someone. Like if I'm like, have you finished Starfield? And they're like, no, I'm still working my way. And I'm like, okay, well, I can't talk about New Game Plus. I can't talk about the ending. Can't talk about certain story beats.
That's fair.
So I think that's probably why I ask, like, have you beat it yet?
And we never asked them.
The game too. Like if you're talking about like Castlevania for the NES, like I think that is, it's almost like an accomplishment to beat that game, right? It's like
yeah, it comes, I think, from old school gaming almost. It was the accomplishment to just get it beaten. Where these days, again, the point I'm trying to make is there's like so much depth that people I think miss out on by doing the golden path, right? I'm like, but man, you didn't make a build of this, you didn't try this thing, and it's so fun, you know. Which is obviously why New Game Plus exists too. But
my favorite games, I'm like sad. Like I know I'm coming to the ending, and I'm like, I don't want this to be over, so I start doing all of the most ridiculous side quests that I didn't want to do like early in the game, right? It's like this happened to me with Skies of I can't remember the name of the game for the Dreamcast.
RPG. Skies of Arcadia.
Yeah, Arcadia.
RPG, very like, tuned.
I could not bring myself to finish the game. I just would fly around because I didn't want it to be over. I loved it so much.
Good game. Double disc, I think, maybe.
I felt that way about Control, kind of. Like, I played it, like, trying to reach out to all the different layers of it before going through the campaign, because I felt like if I just rushed through it, there was just so much there on the side, story-wise, to dive into. And it's like you said, if I didn't want it to end, I just got to keep branching out and do all this other stuff. And I let the main story go as long as I could before pushing in.
There's a lot of side stuff to do in that game that doesn't, like... It's not like completely apparent when you're just like mainlining the game.
Yeah,
like, you could just play through that game pretty quickly. But if
I did the Alan Wake DLC on accident. Like I was trying to just like do something else, and I was like, oh, what is going on here? So yeah, it was great.
And I think that's a question, Fran. But I think it's more tied to how much I'm enjoying the game. If I'm like kind of like I like this, but I don't want to devote my life to it and start a YouTube channel about it. I'm just going to blow through it.
Yeah, but then it's the question, like, what is the gameplay? You know, some people play for the story, and again, everybody plays it for different reasons, which you can't make a game to perfectly suit it. But I think where I was going is I feel like there is a bias towards the like, well, it's the story, it's what people expect is these things, and like Forspoken as an example, which a lot of people didn't play. The campaign, the Golden Path, is like disastrously put together. I'm like shockingly like, who was in charge of this when you designed this really cool gameplay feel, all of this magic casting with these badass particles? Like, honestly, it has pieces. It has these pieces that are really good. And, you know, I always bring up Anthem as another example where I'm like, oh, the strike, so to speak, of like with that Hive Tyrant Spider, like that was so well done, and pieces of the campaign. But again, when people put stuff together, I feel like it's like to stretch it to 40 hours and get some story. And I'm like, but you didn't, maybe Control's even a good example too. I mean, that game's banger though, but you got to give them the good gameplay stuff, I think, and push them towards it. Maybe that's what I'm saying. I don't feel there's enough bias to push you into like, hey, you should like, yeah, you got to solve this puzzle, and you're going to have to like play the game and get your skills up or whatever.
Did you even make a spreadsheet?
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that, man.
I actually have a question along the lines of this, because I'm curious if you feel about it for this game. I haven't played it yet, but I think, Fran, you were tweeting about it. That Dead Space, it wasn't Dead Space, but there was a game like it that was made a little
Callisto Protocol.
Yeah, Callisto.
Totally.
I have it, but I haven't dove into it yet. Is that one that is kind of like you dive into it, like, and you feel like a lot of people drop off or something, or?
That one's actually a really good example of where the developer, I would say, is at blame. To like they present you with all these potential skills and weapons and stuff, and it's this weird, to me, it's an old school design of like, you can't use anything unless you grind, and honestly, you have to play it like multiple times because you're investing in sort of the build of your character with this gun and that gun. But I'm like, actually, there's not enough variety of killing the enemies, that you should have just given us way more currency to experiment with it. It would have been a lot more fun. Like they just gate a ton of stuff. It's really odd. And that was a missed opportunity. But it's one of those games I feel like hits around the 7 area, and it had potential, but I'm like, you should have just given us all the good stuff. Oh, and that's another one where, as well, same thing. It's like this old school, like, nothing's really happening, not much. And oh man, this is kind of really fun. But wait, it's over? And then you didn't like let me use any of this stuff. That's how I felt.
Yeah.
And again, missed gameplay opportunity.
Okay, good to know. Well, I need to try it regardless. It's worth
playing. It's not
the atmosphere is very, very cool.
They made a bunch of improvements too, and there's like some DLC content maybe after you beat it, I think so. The atmosphere is super cinematic, and I thought just the atmosphere and artistic design is an achievement. The big thing you're going to run into, and I'm not going to spoil anything, it's just like it has this melee system that they kind of crutch on. And that's where I was like, I just don't even want to do this. Give me these other guns. But I had trouble getting all the other guns I wanted. Like, just didn't seem like there was enough money.
All right.
But the ending is beautiful.
Okay.
Fran, I want to ask you, seeing as we're talking about Starfield, have you seen the discourse around Starfield recently? The reviews have been getting more and more negative on Steam. There was like a 9-hour video put out diving deep into like all of the stuff with Starfield. There's been a bunch of like video essays recently on Starfield of like what they've done wrong or what they did right as well. But also there was a video about Bethesda kind of losing their way post Skyrim. That was really interesting. So I was wondering what you thought about that, because currently, if you look at Starfield on Steam, the reviews have been getting worse and worse and worse. And it's now sitting at mostly negative for recent reviews.
Yeah, I mean, well, you already know like what to think of that. Like, just people using review scores to convey their attitude is what I would say. Like, you're not reviewing the game. You're conveying, like, you're just mad about, like, they're thinking about Elder Scrolls 6 and they're mad about it or whatever. But anyway, because I haven't seen a lot of it, I would love to comment on it more. I have to look, because I still have to beat Starfield. But I've said it many times. Starfield is a good game at the center, like in the good. I think for me, it's maybe high sevens. I still have to like finish through it. It's so spread out and broad and honestly like dated tech in a number of ways. And when you play a game like Cyberpunk by comparison, it's just like, wow. They're different. They're very different style. Bethesda's just very old school, man. They're like, hey, if you're going to carry these guns out, you better have room in your pockets for it. And it's like, it's a bit rough with all that role playing, but it has some really cool stuff like the spaceship building, which I finally built one in full. And I've always touted that. I'm like, I don't know any other game that does it so well. Like just the art style and standing next to your ship and being inside of it, seeing out of the portholes you made. And like, but at the core of it, it's just got way too much going on without kind of like we were talking about that direct path of like, yeah, you had all this cool gameplay, but then it's so like, I don't know, just do whatever you want. And then I was like, I don't even know where to go. My brain hurts. Like it's and some that makes it redundant for some people. And I think maybe that's a way to boil down to what your question was asking. I think the experience is so different for so many different people. It's hard to talk about because some people just do like couple faction things and do the main quest. And I was saying, I think if you do that, it's kind of like, I don't know, it's all right. But if you sort of just explore and pull on some threads, sometimes you're like, oh, that was cool. Like I guess I like building and crafting some things, but it does feel a bit unfinished. I think that's it too. And you can again look at Cyberpunk as like that game was, I'd say, better on PC when it came out, in better shape overall than Starfield. It was still really great. But now it's just phenomenal because they had 3 years to work on it plus a DLC. And I think you'll see with Starfield, they will continue to, same as they did with Fallout. I mean, look at Fallout 76. That is.
I don't
people,
know. Man.
A lot of
the Cyberpunk was like an unfinished game, but it had like the bones to be in a fun game. To me, Starfield feels like the design of the game is just old school, right? It's like, I don't know, like you can't update this game. I mean, you could. I'm stupid. You definitely could update the game to like be more fun, but you can't update it to be like, oh, now you don't have a load screen when you fly from the planet into space. You just fly from planet into space, right? Like I feel like that'd be a massive undertaking that'll never happen. But that's what I'm looking for out of that type of game. Like to me, it just feels
I don't think
so
that
old
would
school.
Yeah.
I do have something to bring up about that because part of the discourse was about Bethesda developers responding to negative reviews on Steam, which normally you only see indie devs do because, you know, maybe they have 100 reviews. And if someone is putting a negative review and it's a bug and they're like, hey, let me know what the bug is so I can like, you know, fix it for you. So you can maybe change this review to positive because Steam reviews have a big impact on your discoverability on Steam. So to indie devs, like it's very common to see them responding to negative reviews to try and get it to change, but it's very, very, very rare. I actually don't think I've seen it before where a AAA studio will respond to negative reviews. And one of the negative reviews was about the whole loading screen when you're flying to a planet instead of it being this seamless thing that people were kind of expecting. And they said that while there may be loading screens in between fast traveling, just consider the amount of data for expansive gameplay that is procedurally generated to load flawlessly in under 3 seconds. And then they essentially ended up with saying that it has its perks that there's a loading screen because you're essentially customizing your loading screen because you're customizing your ship, which is really cool.
Yeah, you can take photos too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So think of all the sandwiches you could make.
That was one of the kind of discourse things around it. And then another one was actually about the kind of Bethesda losing or not quite understanding what people really loved about Skyrim and why people have played Skyrim for, you know, so many years. And they were saying that it's because there was so much. Every time you went somewhere, there was like a reason to go there. There was something interesting that you found. There was a storyline that you found or a weapon or something that you found that made you go, exploration is so fun, so rewarding, and so cool. Whereas with Starfield, they went for the like 1,000 planets or however many they were, and that they showed an interview with a developer on Starfield who brought up and said, I think it would be better if we had like less planets, but they were a lot more curated instead 100%. Of the planets being procedurally generated, the stuff that happens on them being procedurally generated.
We talked about that on SideQuest before the game came out. Like they announced that the planets were going to be like computer generated. I was like, oh, that's concerning. Because how much interesting stuff is going to be on these planets? Like, how many of these planets is going to be valuable? Like, why spend my time going to these planets if there's nothing interesting for me on them?
Yeah, it gets repetitive for sure. I mean, I still feel. I mean, there is for me. Like the game at its center has some really cool stuff. It's just kind of fascinating and interesting at times. I'm like, wow, like it is really broad, but it takes you to a lot of different places if you pull on these threads. But I 100% agree of the like simple way to put it is this game is too big for its britches. It just really is, man. Like they're so far out of scope, I feel like. And that's what I'm saying. Like they need like, another 3 years to be like, okay, this is the good stuff. It's like an unedited film, and unedited films are 6 hours, everybody, for real. Some of them, like I guarantee you Oppenheimer, but well, who knows, they're so good at what they do, they might have dialed it into 4 hours first, but you get my point. Is it's very unedited, and then like there's no the golden path is not golden. Maybe that's another way to put it. Is it's like, dude, like starts off with this kind of old school tutorial, fine, I get it, and then you're just like, go anywhere. And because of that, I'm just like, I don't know what I've been doing the last like 15 hours. And sometimes you run into stuff that's fascinating and fun, and other times, like, and I've run into this many times. I've played over 100 hours, where I'm like, oh, I just kind of overwhelmed and burnt out right now. I have to take a break.
Yeah, that's one of the kind of things that I heard in this video essay was only like 20 minutes. So it's actually super. It's by Matty Plays on YouTube. And he was saying that in Skyrim, he had, I forgot how many hours it was something like 500, something crazy, 500 hours. And he's like, but all of that time I was doing things that were exciting. I was finding things that were exciting. I was discovering and completing things that were exciting. Whereas I could spend maybe double that amount of time in Starfield, but probably less than 500 of those hours would have been me finding something that was exciting and
that hits the nail on the head for me. That's exactly how I felt about it. I didn't play a lot of Skyrim. I played a lot of Fallout though, and I really enjoyed Fallout 3 and New Vegas. And when I jumped into Starfield, I was just like, this just feels. It feels almost devoid of like discovering the discoverability of just like walking your character through the environment and like, oh, what's this over here? There's like a gas station. I'm gonna go explore this gas station. Oh, there's actually stairs that go into a basement, and there's a blown out wall in the basement that leads to this cave system. I'm gonna go, oh, there's like this mutant like society living down here who are creating a rocket because they want to go to Mars. And it's like this whole like hours and hours of side quest. And because I was just walking from one place to another, whereas Starfield, to me, that was the biggest disappointment. It's like, that's a loading screen. Like that's
almost exactly what he said. Briar was like, and when I was in Fallout, I was like, I can see that this is the main place, but hey, there's a school over there. There's a supermarket over there. And seeing things and being like, I'm going to go there, and actually leading to something.
Yeah. Whereas like No Man's Sky, I feel like nailed it with that stuff. It's like, because you're constantly in control of your character, like you're constantly like finding like new stuff like that. Unfortunately, the biggest problem in No Man's Sky is that there's not that depth of, there's not that mutant society living in a gas station underground.
Yeah. I mean, that's what, but that's that is the unfortunate part about Starfield. Like they don't guide you to anything, and there are some of those things in there. Like I won't spoil it, but there was like a side mission that was kind of like this weird. I felt like Breaking Bad inspired thing where I think I brought it up before, and I was making a conveyor belt of drugs for just a very short mission. It was funny. The reward matched it, and I just stumbled on it because of the city that I chose to live in. And like those moments, those are the ones that are more special, where you really get that little, it's the Bethesda grin, right? Of the like, That's funny. Like it's simple gameplay, but like I liked what they did there. That's funny, and I got a funny reward. It's cool. But they didn't guide you to it, and I guarantee you, there's all sorts of that stuff that I've just missed. And again, it's just like too overwhelming.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, they just need to guide people through stuff, and then yeah, like oddly, the base building and ship building is really quite ornate, although it's got some bugs to it and things that needs to be fixed. The shipbuilding is the better of the two. It's really fascinating and very like when I say old school, I don't mean outdated tech. I mean like there's people that they only play a game or two every year or two.
Oh yeah,
there's the very different. Yeah,
and we actually saw that with the Steam year in review stuff because it tells you like how many games you've played on Steam, and then it's like the average, and the average was like 4, and that's in a year with like at least 20 banger games that everyone wants to play. So
most people don't
like,
have
oh, wow.
more like 120-hour experiences too this year.
Yeah, most people don't have the time, but also sometimes it's taste. It's like there are just people who they just want to live in this universe and build their base and get really into mechanics. And you get the shipbuilding is the biggest payoff. And I honestly, you got to tip my hat to that. And that's where like where do you put the weight? Yeah. Where do you put the weight into what is it about this game that you enjoy? And that's where it's hard as like a reviewer, because you're like, wait, everybody's expecting the story. And it goes back to what I was originally getting at, the story, the golden path of, was it fun? Did you beat it? And it's like, okay, I haven't beat it yet. I finally built a ship though. And I was like, actually, man, it was a little frustrating at first because their tutorials suck. And again, a place they miss. But once you figure it out, you're like, actually, this is you kind of can't go wrong. Just build a ship when you have some money. It takes a while to understand. With the payoff is so cool. It is so cool when you build a ship. And I haven't even painted it. And you stand next to this hulking ship you built. It's really cool.
It sounds like you should play Once Human.
I told you I want to play Once Human. I'm not, I want to play like the finished game. I'm not going to spend 70 hours of something that I'm going to play 100 hours
It's real hot
later,
right
apparently.
now.
Yeah.
It's real hot right now.
I know.
That's the one
that's the thing.
To get codes for, right?
I brought this up before, I think. I'm like, there's so many games that you have not played that you're like, oh, it's kind of on my backlog. I mean, you're playing a beta because everybody's like hot on it, which I get. There's like the business side of it. But why don't you just go play whatever, Baldur's Gate 3 or, I have stuff to play.
I haven't played that yet. I haven't played Alan Wake yet. I can't wait to get into both of them.
But isn't that kind of the point that you were saying earlier, friend? Is like even if there's not this golden paved road, but it's just like this pre-version of it that everybody's enjoying so much. Like, isn't that like the reason to go in and join and experience it?
You got me on that one.
Strand started.
You got me on the whole that was a rant I think on a previous show. You mean when we were talking about like why aren't there more early access things to give us a chance?
We were talking about that. Yeah.
You're creating the game, Fran. You know what? Right. The developers of Once Human did an interview with Gathalion.
Oh, like nice. Yeah, he's been like the captain.
They did. It happened yesterday, I think. And so first of all, the guy who was talking to him was just great. He's just like, you could, when you're listening to someone from a game company and they're just like really open, honest. They're not doing the PR speech thing. They're not being like trying to shut you down in a, let's twist your attention to hear the things that I can talk about. They're just like, oh no, I can't talk about it. It's not in my wheelhouse. So he was great because, for example, they brought up the enemy AI, and he's like, yeah, they're kind of dumb. They're really, really effing stupid. We're gonna. Fix
really?
So they were talking about, because some people in chat were like, why don't you just open up early access? Let us pay $20 for like a founder's pack. And he said, we don't want to take money. This is a free-to-play game. We're not going to take money from certain people during an early access portion. It's a free-to-play game. So we're not taking money from anyone. And everyone was like, that's new. That's nice. That's different. So yeah, they're
great. Then give it to us for free then, which they have for free. A lot of months. But I mean, they're taking it away as they continue to, which they seem very confident.
Yeah, they're really, really wanting everyone to give their feedback on the game of what they want, and they're doing, every time I log in, there's a freaking update. They're updating stuff all the time. But yeah, it is going to be a free to play game, true open world MMO survival, all that good stuff. There's going to be seasons. So each season, they're going to be introducing new weapon types, blueprints, enemies, dungeons, et cetera, et cetera. And there's also going to be a battle pass, but they did say that free-to-play players are going to be able to earn the battle pass, which is very cool. So their monetization is all like outfits,
cosmetics.
Cosmetics. And people obviously are asking like, is there going to be pay to win? Is there going to be pay to progress? Is there going to be pay to skip? Because like all of that to different people, if you can do any of that stuff, that is pay to win, especially in a game that has PvP. And they said, no, I swear to God, it's not going to be.
That's what they all say.
So I mean, it very well could go back on it, right? But I think if you've sat there and you've been very like, nope, swear to God, not pay to win, and then you do it, that's gonna go pretty heavily against them. And he also said that his dream is that they take it to the Game Awards and it wins Game of the Year. So I was like,
good. Should be everybody's.
It is a good. I was like, you don't actually hear many people say that goal, because I think, and of course they need to make money, but the fact that someone's goal is we want to win Game of the Year means that you kind of can't be like, there's no pay to win and then put pay to win, because then you're not gonna win Game of the Year. That's gonna kill your game like right then and there. Yeah. So I'm pretty excited about that game. I mean, just right now as it is, it's very fun. They've kind of got a mix of lots of different genres and they're balancing them really well, and it's very just solid across the board. So I
mean, the biggest without playing it, the biggest thing that always stands out to me though is like everybody's consuming it a ton right now, and this is what happened with Destiny. When those moments are fresh, it's that fresh flower smell, you know? What happens after that? Do you feel at the center of it, you're like, oh man, I could continue to keep doing this for like months and months when it's final, without knowing what we know.
They actually said that they wanted seasons to be 6 weeks. Like they were going to be bringing new content, new weapons, like new everything every 6 weeks.
I want to be on the cover of GQ, but it's not going to happen.
Well, everyone was like, that's a little too short. Listen, getting new content every 6 weeks is great, but like maybe you want to make it like closer to 3 months or 2 months.
Oh, you were sorry, I misunderstood that.
Yeah,
there's like every 6 weeks.
Yeah, every 6 weeks, new season, new weapon, new enemies, new dungeon, new.
It just sounds bizarre to me. Yeah, like how on a development cycle do you have that much content that is satisfying? As well? Again, without playing it, I'm totally uneducated. But I'm
Fran, I'll say like he was saying that he's doing like 5 people's jobs. That he's currently sleeping at the office.
Well,
so
come on, we've heard it all before. So it's like I'm super excited to see where the game goes. Everybody's like really enjoying it. It all seems unrealistic. Free to play, it's going to have like a battle pass, and then like how do you keep that enjoyment running past the 40, 60, 80 hour mark?
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you exploit your workers and have them working like 80-hour weeks and they literally never go home, then you can make a lot of content.
I mean, yeah, Bungie did that for a while, by the way, and then it turned around. They said, we're not going to do that anymore. And then everybody got mad. Same with all the industry, which I agree. I mean, they shouldn't be.
It's not
higher
good,
standards.
No.
Where were they based? That didn't happen to come up, did it? I keep trying to look.
They're a Chinese game.
Oh yeah. Well, I know it's NetEase based, but I didn't know where the developer was because.
Yeah, they're a pretty. It's Starry Studio.
Exactly.
They're pretty small, I think.
I was like, I didn't know if they had done anything before.
Honestly, seeing what they've achieved already, knowing that they're a smaller studio is really impressive. So until they prove me otherwise, I'm inclined to just be like, sure, show me what you got, because what they've created already is like better than. It's definitely the best survival game I've played. I lose interest pretty quickly with survival games, but they've got a really good mixture.
Yeah, it'll be
going on.
Very interesting to see, because I think we're now entering and we're seeing the results of it. There's starting to be skittishness around this whole model, and Bungie, the biggest dream for all these companies to be, just sent all their investors running back to the boardrooms like, ooh, wait. Bungie kind of hit a little bit of a wall here. Are we okay, guys? And then
we actually heard some stuff about that today, kind of, because they
really?
were saying that Steam is a Destiny is a platinum
right.
earner on Steam. Like they earn a lot of money on
Of
Steam.
course they do.
So everyone's like, how do you miss 42% or whatever it is of your target if
Projections.
you're that high of an earner? And everyone's like, well, it sounds like your projections are the thing that's messed up, right?
Definitely.
Like we heard it from Call of Duty where it's like, yeah, you sold $8 billion worth of stuff, but it's not what we expected and wanted. So it's not good enough. So they're still making a ton of money, but it's not the projection.
And I know you know this, but it's
They
like
make
earnings
budgets
are
off those
not
projections.
earnings are not net profit, etc. So like it's all irrelevant until you know what the run rate for everything is and all of the related things. And like people get just as confused. They're like, wait, didn't you just get $3.2 billion? You're like, no, they did. That's not how that works. They didn't just get $3.8 billion to fund games. It works a lot differently than that.
I think it's most likely that Final Shape didn't like Lightfall got a ton of pre-orders. Like they got insane pre-orders, and the after Lightfall, Final Shape didn't get the pre-order numbers that they expected because Lightfall didn't do so good.
Yeah, what I would say
retaining players.
Normally, what you see in the boardroom in this situation is actually since Beyond Light, we've been seeing we saw 18% year-on-year growth with Beyond Light. Then we saw 28% with Witch Queen, and then we saw this growth, and then they just trend line it, right? And they probably put a little frosting on top because they were getting bought out and stuff too. I'm sure these projections go back like a year, and then quarterly they try to update it, but like we don't have that information as when they knew the bottom had started to drop. We don't know that they suddenly hit June and we're like, what happened? But anyway, it probably was that. And like you're saying, like everything was on the up and up. They might have had pre-order cancellations and on all that. Just was a bad mix. But anyway, Destiny's, per this whole conversation, just look at Destiny. We have this interesting history of like Destiny launches, AAA, tons of investment, still not enough to do. You can't make everybody happy. And then you got to spend years and years fixing it. Then they relaunch a new product, and then that misses. And then they needed another year. If you look at after Destiny 2 when it came out, it was Forsaken the next year, right? And that's where it hit. Like, okay. And then the point I'm trying to make is honestly, when you look at Destiny, it's like every 2 years. Are you guys paying attention? Like every 2 years is when the really good stuff hits for a while.
Pretty much,
and do you think it's because they don't know what they're doing, or they don't want to work at the office, 15 hours a day? Like that's sort of to support games at this level is tricky.
It's
Not
a lot,
that all the choices they make are perfect, but I think it's just like it just seems unrealistic to me.
No, I'm not saying there's not going to be any downtime in Once Human, right? I'm sure there's going to be like a drought, but at least from what I've seen of what they've put in the game so far, the map is massive, the fights are interesting, the weapons are interesting, the loop that they have is very interesting. So I hope they can keep it up because they got a good thing going.
Good too. I don't want to poo-poo it. It's just like when you said, they're working a ton, and it is NetEase, and it's not that NetEase hasn't done some good stuff, but I mean, we're in for another interesting year. Like I said, with the free-to-play bottom dropping out, don't you guys think there's a risk next year for cancellations, downsizings of specifically that? And by the way, when Suicide Squad comes out, mid-February, that's going to be a big storyteller, and then 3 to 6 months later, you're going to see some results from that, I bet.
I'm so scared for Rocksteady. Like they've made such fantastic games over the last decade, and this game just seems like it's going to sink them.
Before we get into that, Lego, what did you want to say?
I was just going to say there was a theme that had kind of been threading through all of these different games we were talking about. And there was one point I was thinking about in that, we keep talking about like, do companies know what they're doing? Because they keep hitting this point where it's like, oh, what are they? Where we as players are asking ourselves, what are we doing? But I think there could be a chance that we as players are changing, and like the environment around us is changing, the gaming industry is changing, and so you stick with something for so long, it just gets stale. And sometimes it's not about that they've lost what caught people initially; it's just that thing is stale, and that is a thing that it happens a lot with Destiny players. They're like, well, now I get the ritual cycle that has happened after Forsaken, and so I'm just done with it. And until they do something different, I'm out, sort of deal. And that might be every 2 years. It could be whatever. But I feel like that happens with a lot of games where they're just like, oh, we got this thing down. And then all the players are like, yeah, but we've moved on because this other game came out and they're doing this innovative stuff that switches things up. And y'all are still doing the same thing, and we're just kind of out now. And for a little while, that was battle royales, and then it moved on to other things. Survival stuff might be the new thing, but it just changes the landscape. And so companies keep having to like redo everything, and that thing may or may not hit.
I think people are, I mean, we saw with the day before that people are really, really wanting that like MMO survival experience, like building a base and surviving with their friends and lots of other people and world bosses and raids. And people really want that in a survival game format. And I think that's, a lot of why Once Human's popping off, because that is what it offers. And they do a really good job at it so far. So,
yeah. Yeah, just you made me think, Lego, where I was like, everybody's chasing, to be making these games that we're playing all the time.
Yeah.
But what would you guys think if instead what Bungie did is that every 2 or 3 years, that Destiny wasn't an online live service game? It was online, and it had the main components, but it was only every 2 or 3 years they came out with this banging raid, a dungeon that released 3 months later. They had 1 season attached, but the quality, so every sketch you see is actually a fully cyberpunk level acted scene. Maybe they didn't have stars in it. Like, what if that was it? But like after that, 300 hours of gameplay, you were done for the next 2 or 3 years. Would you guys like something like that? You would still have the raids. It would still have the, a strike or two. But then they were like, all right.
Still have PvP.
But in other words, we live in a world where your brain is like, can I keep playing this over and over? Because that's what a live service. But if you took that out of it, you're like, no, you just played these really awesome strikes for the first time. You played the story. You played the dungeon. You got a huge raid. But the quality was up. Bear in mind, everything. There's more cutscenes, etc.
I feel like
would you guys be
Destiny
interested?
The most. That's basically what it was. It wasn't every 2 or 3 years. It was like once a year you'd get like something big, and like there'd be a couple of like little things throughout the year, but really it was like one big thing, and that's why I liked it the best.
I feel like it's easy to say, like in my mind it sounds good, but then you got the thing where like also in my mind I think personally that light level sucks, like just take it out of the game. Like I just don't like grinding that way, but there's a ton of players who do. Like it's like there's these different parts of the games where one of them is grinding the heck out of it, and the other is I want to just experience a good story in this universe. And that brings me to, why in the world is there not a separated game from Destiny 2 that is just in that universe? Like anything.
I don't
because
know.
it is an insanely complex, interesting universe that, people can make videos of hours about, and yet we have no other game than this very specific, grindy game that is almost impossible to enter. Whereas if you had any other, just some other game, it could be anything that was an easier entrance for players to enter into the world of Destiny. Like, oh, this lore is awesome. Like these stories are awesome.
I'm sure it's on their mind. Like, in other words, what would that game be? Would it be like a Halo campaign? And then again, like that's mostly it? Would it have multiplayer?
I assume it's a financial thing where it's got to bring a bunch back for them to. That's why I like what Riot has been doing with them, and their games actually don't get a ton of traction. So what Riot is doing is they're working with indie game studios to make these kind of one-off story games. And so, for example, there was Song of Nunu that came out, and that is it's a story about one of the characters in the game. It's a adventure, exploration, fantasy story, single player game, and it came out November of this year, and it's only got 1,500 reviews on Steam. And for a game that is backed by Riot, that's less than what Grime has, which we talked about. Grime is obviously like it's made by 4 people. It's got like no backing at all of a big studio like Riot. So obviously the game is made by the indie studio, but even that is not enough to really push this game to be played by even tens of thousands of people, let alone the millions that play League of Legends. So I'm sure it's like a finance thing of like,
Sure.
will we actually make money from this single player Destiny game, or will it just be
Riot's
like people
loading
want it?
birdshot in their shotgun though, and they're just like spreading it out, and some of it hits the target like that anime did,
Yeah.
where it like expanded that brand in huge new ways. They got that fighting game come out that I can tell you right now, the fighting game community is very excited to see what that's going to be.
I hope it does well.
Everything they've showed so far, everybody's been very excited about. Like, so, but they've also got like things that just missed the target, but you know, they're clearly just like spread shotting everything.
I mean, I think Destiny could make, if Destiny made a dating sim, I bet you that would get a lot of money. Like if you could date Marasov, if you could date even like Keitel, and I think that would do very, very, very well. But
I mean,
just like
an anime, I think would
Dead
be
by
huge.
Daylight.
Like if they did something on Netflix, like what Riot did, or even a comic book, or even like a small indie game where, like, imagine just like a beat 'em up, a side-scrolling beat 'em up starring like Shaxx and Saladin, just like rocking through it, you know, like
there's endless possibilities. I like what you said, friend, about like just like a standalone Halo type campaign, like that sort of thing to bring people into this world, because the world itself is super intriguing.
Yeah, I mean, look at well, number one, the reason I had brought that up was it is just the point about free to play. Like we only have so much time, and like I personally, as much as I like it, there's so much grind in this stuff, and it's trained us to believe that there's like this fear of missing out value of, well, I did all this pointless loot cave grinding, but I can show this thing off, and like at some point, just if everything's doing it, you know. So that's where I was going with that.
No,
But
you're
then,
totally right, Fran. There is people do not have enough time to play 10 live service games. It's like something is going to give. Yeah, exactly. So that's why you've seen World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy 14, Destiny. You don't have hundreds of massive selling live service games because you're going to run out of people that you can tap into.
It's hard to even play a live service game and like normal great campaign games that are coming out. Like that is difficult for me to do as someone who games a lot.
Yeah.
I think actually, Fran, on your point of like, would you prefer it like every 2-3 years as a big thing? I think maybe a middle ground of what I've thought about is if there's just less seasons, so there's more time to spend on the big yearly drop. But there's obviously going to be a lot more downtime in between those drops because you're going to have a lot less seasons. I would personally be fine with that.
But they'd have to give you more then, right? So what would that look like, you know? Like in other words, if you wanted to spend more time on it.
It'd be more condensed, right? So like, they're working the same amount, they're creating the same amount of content, but it comes in bigger drops less frequently, right?
I think it's what you said, friend. It's the mentality of like the players. Like, can we be okay with letting seasons die off and going and doing other stuff? Can Destiny players do that? Because I think there are people who like just get frustrated. There's nothing to do. They go play something else, and then Destiny doesn't have their attention anymore, and they're done. And I think that might be the fear that Bungie has too.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, it just boils down to, and it's the exact same with NetEase. It's all driven by the money, and there's no way around it. It's entertainment. And it's going to be the same with the movies. Like, it's people who love art house movies and these certain types of movies. But then you're like, why are there all these crap movies? And you're like, well, because people watch them, and we're just trying to make money.
Like The Creator comes out that's like so different, and you're like, why is nobody going to go see it? Everybody wants something different, and here it is.
Because they'll watch 3 hours of Avatar because it's a roller coaster ride, you know. But anyway, meaning going way back to when you were talking about Destiny 2 being a platinum earner, it's like, well, that's why they got bought for so many billions. And like, that's why they keep doing what they're doing, because there's so much money in it. And I was just going to bring up as an example, man, I love, and Watson and I got to experience this one together, Ghost Tsushima. What just a lovely, single player campaign game that then had like this limited time live service as well. It was so great. It's such a special moment.
I would have bought seasons for Ghost of Tsushima.
Don't say it though.
But I would.
No.
I would buy a new raid. Their
You
raid
get
was
tired of it then.
awesome. Like their online co-op game portion of their game was genuinely so good.
Yeah.
That
If they
raid
added
was
like new perks and stuff for you to get,
that
Oh,
raid
yeah, Briar.
was
That's right.
just as
that's
fun
right.
as any raiding experience I've had in Destiny.
it was so
was so good.
Destiny inspired. It was amazing.
It was
I
so
loved
fun.
I loved it. It was
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah, and see, that's what's interesting. Those are the really good parts about it. It's just when you keep stretching and stretching and stretching, and
It's to me,
So, yeah,
Destiny's problem is that they're stretching by doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. And I just like I don't want to do the same thing over and over again. I want new experiences.
But
even if it's like, oh, you're gonna do this seasonal activity for 4 months. Well, I
Right.
don't want to do it for 4 months. I'll do
but
it for a
that's
couple
it though.
of days.
It's not by choice, right? It's not that they're sitting there like, yes, do this again. Do not design a new character. Do not design a new boss for this strike. Make sure you use that old one and skin him as a taken. Do you think they're sitting there like, hey, great idea, sir? Like that's
I always wanted
yeah.
Bungie to reuse more stuff smartly in general because they've
I
just
think-
they spend so
How about
much
Lost
on
Sectors?
Well,
Yeah.
they spend so much on making these things, and then it's like speaking of Monster Hunter, you'll see the community say some dumb stuff like it's the same skeleton. Oh, it's a new monster, but it's the same skeleton, and it's like yes, because using the same skeleton of a monster but making them look different, have different movesets, have some shared movesets, have different armor, have different weapons makes a lot more sense to make more of those. Then maybe you get like 5 of them, but you get like one brand new, never before seen thing. Like it's smart. It's not the same thing. It's not the same monster.
I agree with you though on the reaction. You're like, wait, they could totally reuse stuff more smartly. I mean, I agree with that. Just look at this season. Yeah, I can't believe we keep going through that coil over and over and to the howl projector. Like you just nailed it. And even though we did go back to an old lost sector, I think there's more room in there to just like send me into could be a strike or it could be a lost sector.
What I wish, Fran? I wish that the change they added where you can farm for world drops in lost sectors, that I could get those world drops with friends. Like the exotic
like the
is
solo challenge.
Yeah, like the exotic is the solo, but if you're doing it with buds, that would have been so much more enjoyable to just sit there and farm lost sectors for all the world drops. I would have had so much more fun.
Yeah, because like think about when you were grinding for the pulse in like Destiny 1. Everybody, I can't remember the name of it right now, but that witch, I can't remember what strike it was. But like whenever you're going for strike loot with your buddies and everybody's like comparing rolls and stuff as they drop, it's so much more engaging. Not aside from just the camaraderie of hanging out. Like there's actual in-game stuff to talk about too.
It is, yeah. It's like, oh, I got one. Oh, what'd you get on it? Oh my god, that's a god roll. Oh my god, yes, it's so much. Especially, Destiny is an MMO light game, right? Or it's at least a co-op game. So doing things that you can do with your friends and having that conversation, I would have loved to have farmed Heliocentric with people in chat. That would have been so good. I would have.
Did you get one, by the way?
I did get one. I do have one. I don't think it's great. I don't know what I have on it.
It feels really good with all range, and it feels really good with kill clip.
I'm gonna need more range probably. I have one with precision instrument and enlightened action.
Oh, nice!
With
Enlightened action really good
rounds, and stability.
Ooh, okay.
I got a moving target, incandescent stability roll. And a kill clip enlightened action stability. Yeah.
That one's so good.
I got some
enlightened action
ones.
and kill clip feels really great.
That's for PvP. Those reactions, I assume.
Although
I've killed 11 people with it. So
kill clip on a sidearm in PvE is actually pretty fun now too.
True, yeah.
Yeah, because it's so fast with enlightened action.
Wait, is this the sidearm you say?
Feel?
Yeah, it's the heliocentric solar sidearm that we wanted really bad.
If you get kill clip for PvE, that's pretty banger.
Yeah, I got a demo incandescent of that, and I got lucky.
I did actually end up getting the dungeon sidearm. The exotic.
I got a good one. You got the exotic.
Nice. I got the exotic. I need a build for it.
Need that. That's right.
I kind of want to go into like Void and really go into the Devour and all that stuff, but also I'm addicted to Strand.
Oh yeah,
Love.
I'm a big fan. That was one of the best parts of Lightfall was Strand, you know.
Yeah.
I love
and
Strand.
so much fun. And actually, I keep wanting from the artifact, they had the explosive tangles or whatever that you could shoot. And the raid perk was married with that. Oh, it was so fun. You'd be creating all these tangles and shooting them.
God. I really wish that they would add
Took it
a
away.
fragment to Strand that makes the tangles be like they were when they first came out in Lightfall. Because I am less
Those from the artifact.
excited to destroy a tangle, you know, whereas back then it's like, oh, I destroyed the tangle, you get the suspend, big damage, big explosion. Although it has changed a little bit with being able to make a Beyblade. So now I'm very
Beyblades,
protective
cool.
of my tangles.
You know what is very
Don't touch it.
powerful this season is running solar with Strand weapons, because your, I mean, Stace is kind of good, but Strand is just, because all your Strand weapons, there's a artifact mod for unraveling rounds, and then there's an artifact mod called Torch that every time you're Radiant gives you an extra buff on top of Radiant if you're debuffing people with Strand stuff. So I've been using that in PvP because it works in PvP and it's very fun. But yeah, for PvE too, it's just fun stacking all those buffs while solar and still using Strand stuff. Still, I can't forget all the verbiage for it right now, but there's just a ton of different debuffs you can send out from Slice to Unraveling.
I did farm the weapon from Trials.
Oh yeah, the Trace.
Yes, I farmed the Trace rifle. I wanted Slice, and then just something that doesn't suck. It's like Slice and anything. And then I put together like a Dragon Shadow build, because obviously you're dodging to get the Slice activated. You get the buffs. It's especially running it with the Beyblade Tangle. You have more opportunities to make them because you're running Slice.
Mm-hmm.
That's been really fun. I wasn't able to really do it in the most recent Trials because it was checkmate Trials.
Right. Yes, I know.
Which kind of sucked, but
frustrating.
I was using my Mechaneer's Trick Sleeves Devil's Ruin. So
that is very fun. Yeah, Radiant with Slice on that Trace is unbelievable. It's very good. I had fun in the dungeon too, actually. I've been grinding the dungeon for the bow with Slice. I haven't got it yet. Not the new Strand bow, but the other one. There's like a specific role that I was like, oh, maybe I could do some disgusting things with this. So, but I did get a new sidearm in the middle of all that with the Adagio tracking round, beacon rounds.
Oh, beacon rounds. I've always thought beacon rounds is pretty important. Beacon rounds
I hadn't got one
really
yet.
Good.
So I got the glaive with it, and it sucked. That glaive from the Dawning is just awful. Cool Guy talked about it being awful too. So I'm glad I'm not alone. I was just like, I'm a glaive guy, and I still am just.
You know, I have seen some people on Twitter being very excited about the Hunter Arc glaive recently.
Oh, for good reason.
Oh, is that
it's really it's been good.
Eccentric.
Just no one has really been using it. And so it's kind of under the radar, but it is very good in all aspects of the game.
Tell us about it. What do you do?
Wait, they fixed it up?
What's happening? Tell us about it.
Okay, so
Edge of Concurrence. That's what you're talking about.
Yes, so there's two things that happen. One didn't change, and that's the shockwave that sends up when you get the shield energy all the way up. You can alt fire, and it sends out this shockwave that one-shots in PvP. Like, just devastating. And it's great fun in PvE as well. Always fun to send out a shockwave. But the cool part is that now that shield energy goes up for free. Like, you don't have to hit anything. It just goes up. And so if a round lasts long enough in PvP, you can use that shockwave. And in PvE, it's great too, because you no longer have to... It's like the way that you use it, it no longer takes... I don't think it's like it doesn't take your ammo. Like, even if you're at, like... one shot left or zero, I think you can still use that alt. I can't remember which it is, but they let you use. It's a lot more accessible now to like use that shot.
It's time to whip it out again.
Yeah, it's funny when I was earning it. People were. This was earlier this year. They're like, "Why are you bothering? It's terrible." You know, it's like, come on. Like, and plus, I want it for PvE. I just like messing around with stuff, and it was fun to use. But yeah, like it didn't quite. It was a pain to build up the energy to splash the ground, you know, with this arc wave. But yeah, I was wondering if it came around for PvE. It almost sounds like it more came around for PvP for sure, but I wonder if it's changed much for PvE. But
I think it's
I love Glaives.
Both. Yeah. I think Glaives just got a buff all around because of that shield going up. They still aren't you'll never see them rise in PvP just because of how much the shield was nerfed on that initial go through, for good reason, because a good player with the glaive was very frustrating to play against, so I understand. But yeah, in PvE, just having that shield go up passively and being able to use that block without having to use any of those projectiles to get that shield up is really strong.
Yep. Yeah, I use glaives all the time in PvE. It's just so much fun. So plus the shield is so helpful.
It is helpful. I used it in tribute for the short little time that it was around because we were struggling, and I was like, "What if we just put on glaives? Let's just put on glaives, and we'll just chop people up and grab the things, and we'll have a shield." And yeah, it worked really well. Our win rate sucked, and then we put on glaives in tribute, and it was going great.
But I was trying to remember what tribute was. Like tribute
is the finals, but bad.
It was a mode in PvP.
Yeah, it was the Iron Banner mode where it's kill confirmed, but instead of like
for
when
just
you
a little bit,
when you instead of when you pick up the crest, it counts towards your score. You had to grab them and dunk them for it to count to the score.
Okay.
It's a bummer that we didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, not that they changed it. Like, I get why, and I get that there were landslides left and right, but I kind of like the idea of the mode because it negates the problem of supremacy where, snipers and there are certain players that are at a deficit because they can't ever like go out and get that stuff. They're not like right on there. And so now the people who are right on there, they still have to make it back to their base and dunk it, which is an interesting concept. It's just, it requires so much more team effort in that game mode. And Iron Banner and these kind of 6-player environment PvP is not conducive for people to coordinate. Like, we've never seen that in a casual game mode.
It's funny because it really is the finals mode, which you played, right? Finally,
Right.
Lego, you played the
Yes,
finals?
I did. Yeah, I like am terrible so far. Like,
Really?
I maybe just the games that I played just had some hardcore people, because I was like, I'm pretty good at FPS stuff, and I feel like I'm just getting owned right now. And maybe it was because of the abilities that were in it. Like, I wasn't playing with my team much, and was just more of a loner. I was like, man, I need to like actually figure out what all these abilities do and use them to my advantage, because it felt like a big upper hand for the team that was using them right.
Yeah, definitely. That's why I just started like, I want to play the light build in the finals, but medium has so much to lock stuff down that I feel like I win more if I just run medium.
Right.
By the way, Lego, I think you had mentioned the Dawning Glaive is good.
So
remind me again. You mentioned
it. It's a mixed
Don't
bag.
make me grind for this.
You need to grind for the fusion rifle, not the glaive.
Oh, it was the trace rifle.
Fusion's great.
No, the trace rifle's from Trials.
Trace is from Trials. Fusion is good from Dawning. Glaive is a mixed bag because the glaive in PvP has been terrible so far. Like, why not use Judgment of Kel'Garath for pretty much anything you want to do? But in PvE,
that's me.
So it has Golden Tricorn. It has Golden Tricorn, which is such a high up. Like, people complain about it because the melee on the glaive doesn't count for proccing the ×2, which is 50% buff on the projectile. But I think that grenades on arc is just the easiest thing to keep up. There's so many regenerative grenade tricks on arc subclasses that you could have that 50% buff up like all the time. So I think it's pretty strong. Like, I think there's a lot of potential there. So I definitely got a few rolls with Golden Tricorn, going to keep them in my back pocket. I wanted to make a one-shot build in PvP with it, but it's so good in PvE that I'm going to keep it regardless.
Okay. It's Albedo Wing, I think.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
I think the other half of that is there's just an initial disappointment of everyone that glaive wasn't stasis. Like, it's the Dawning. It could have been our first ever stasis glaive, and they made it arc, and everybody's just kind of like, really?
Good point.
Yeah, but I was also disappointed with tracking rounds on it. Like, I thought, oh, that'll be so cool, specifically in PvP.
Oh yeah,
because like,
when
are you gonna use it in PvE? But the way that it works is it's in stacks, and it builds up on your kills up to ×3. And once you're at ×3, I did notice times where it was like literally 90-degree angle onto an enemy. And I was like, okay, that's cool, but that is never going to happen in PvP, which is where I would use that. Like in PvE, I don't really want my rounds going somewhere I didn't shoot at, you know? So yeah, I think Golden Tricorn is really the one draw for me.
Okay.
The fusion, though.
Yeah.
You want that one.
Yeah,
the
Glacioclasm I have, but yeah,
Oh.
maybe you were just talking about the new rolls
The
on it. Was
new
possibly
Glacioclasm.
Successful warm-up Glacioclasm. Nothing
Yeah.
Like
like
Plan
it in
C?
PvP. I mean, pretty much once you get one kill, it's like a rapid fire, but packing the punch of a high impact. It's fantastic. And then in PvE too, though, first Void high impact that has control burst. It might be is it the first Void fusion ever that has control burst? I think it might be. But anyway, it has control burst and overflow, or overflow and reservoir burst. You got your pick of which one you want. Really strong stuff.
Yup. I don't have one. Well, not a new
Yeah,
one.
I have an old one. I don't think I'll get a new one.
It's
Yeah,
hard to get rolls. It's hard.
I was part of this was a leading topic. Was I was thinking about how the dawning ends on January 2nd, I believe.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I like the whole idea of fear of missing out, of like, okay, I got it, I did it, it's great. But I'm like, yo, you delayed the game for 4 months. I mean, should they extend it, or do you think it's fine as is?
I thought they should have extended it. And
I
what
think
was
they
funny
should,
about that is they did, like in the what is it, the event card, they had the wrong date, and it said like,
Yeah,
I
June
can't
4th or 6th originally.
yeah, and I was like, wait, are they extending like, the dawning really far? And they had to tweet out like, actually, it's
Right.
ending on the 2nd.
Yeah, they put it in the launcher screen even, I think is why I was thinking
Yeah.
about it. They're like, by the way, it's actually the 2nd, not the blah. And I was like, that's even worse. You know the game's coming out June 4th, right? The next
Yep.
big expansion anyway. I'm like, everything in between that they're doing, I mean, they moved up Guardian games, I think, right? But then in between, there's like that Into the Light stuff and a couple
Yeah.
other. But I was like,
Yeah.
I don't think that's gonna. But I'm sure they have reasons for just it's scheduled, it's done, you know. But I was like, you really should just let it ride another month. Why not?
It's got to be scheduled stuff, right? Like,
I would just keep it going, right? Because like you said,
Yeah.
it's hard to get the roles you want, and people are pretty interested in some of these. So
It
Yeah.
seems
but
strange, right?
give people something to go
Like-
for a bit longer.
Yeah. I mean, just give it one more minute on this. Like, why not do it? One, I could think of tech, and it's already, everybody's gone. They got to come back
Oh,
from
true.
break. That's probably a big one. But I'm like, other than that, why would you do that? I mean, you need people
Yeah.
playing your game right now more than ever.
Yeah, I really don't know.
I can't
'Cause
think
it
of
is
any other
nice,
reasons.
even as somebody who has grinded out this event, like I got the PvP role 5 out of 5 that I wanted, but there are still other things that I was interested in, and I've been, as someone who has turned in so many, there are roles that I have never seen yet, and I've turned in like just countless packages, and if I can't get it going after this one thing, then I'm sure that the people who don't have the time to game that much are just like, yeah, I'm never going to see this unless I had more time, and I'm not going to get it. It ends on the 2nd. And that's rough, especially in the holidays,
Yeah.
like when people are spending time with their family.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's another good point. Like, if you're doing the holiday thing or you are on break from your job, like maybe this is the one time where you're like, dude, it always comes up. I never get to get these things. Now's a
Yeah.
better time than ever. But yeah, who knows? I mean, hey, I'll say this. If anybody from Bungie out there gets this message, there's still time to bring it back as a special dawning gift. It ended, but by the way, we're bringing it back. It's February, baby. I don't care. Yeah, sure. You know, and again, this is from someone who probably won't take advantage, but I just thought about other players who hear this stuff. They're like, actually, I kind of do want a new Glacioclasm. I might, but I'm not going to do it by January 2nd, fam. Sorry, it's not
Fran
happening.
has to finish Starfield first.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, hey, if the proposition wasn't throw snowballs and bake cookies and go grind a Vanguard play, like it's also the
I'm
gameplay
playing
loop.
Monster Hunter World. I get it.
Exactly. I do have to finish Starfield, or do I? Do I have to beat the game because I've already played it over 100 hours? Like maybe I've already experienced it, and I'll just keep
That's true.
Don't you want to
experiencing
see
it.
the end though?
Yeah, but not at the
I've heard the
expense
main
of the
story
deflation.
isn't as good.
Well, the
as the
deflation
side
you
stories.
talked about, Brian, that is a big piece of it. Was the whole like once you finish it, there's kind of this like, you know, it's like I'm finished.
I
You know what
have
I'm
left the
saying?
game. And to your point, I
I've
have left the
climaxed.
game on the final chapter before for like a long time. And it wasn't even intentional. It was just like I had that feeling and I just kept it like, oh, that's a great game. Yeah, I still haven't finished it, but like it's so good.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Like it's just like unintentionally left it there because I didn't want to finish it.
Yeah.
I think
And
I put
again,
like
that's
20 hours into Elden Ring. Like I was at the end. I was like, I don't want it to be over. I'm gonna go do everything.
wait, how many
I'm gonna find
hours?
everything, like 20.
The whole game?
No. Like once I got to the end and I knew I was at the end, I was like, I put another 20
an
hours.
additional.
I found like every
Oh my
little
God.
weapon, side quest, everything before I finished that game.
Gotcha. Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, I legitimately do the same thing. I'm like, I'm gonna let this ride. But yeah, there's just that pressure of like, yeah, why didn't you beat it yet? You should beat it. And I'm like, why? What am I gonna do for the next 3 years in
Because you're gonna
Starfield?
play something else after it, friend.
But why do I have to finish it? That was a better way
Well,
of
you
putting
don't
my
have
like,
to,
why?
but you won't play
Why not do it
anything
later?
else while you're playing Starfield.
Right, exactly. It's going to take me away from a once human beta. That's true.
Has that ever bit you in the
That's
ass
true.
though? Like sometimes you're like loving the game at the beginning and you're doing everything, every little side quest, and then you're just like,
Well,
oh man, I just want to get through this.
actually, you bring up a really good point, which is a lot of these games are so complex and there's so much going on that it's very hard to come back to. And actually, even coming back to Starfield after 2 months, oof, that took me a few, dude. And especially on mouse and keyboard too, where everything was sort of custom binded a little bit more. I was very confused at first. I was like, one of the things as one example, it's just like where they need to clean it up. I was like flying in space trying to like dock, and there's just no button to press. I was like, what do I even do? I'm flying around, I'm like targeting, and like for whatever, I had to hit the E button another time. Or no, I had to go into my scanner and then hit the E button, which is an engagement button. And then it showed that you can dock. And everybody's like, yeah, of course. It's like, what do you mean? It's like a mission. I'm supposed to go there. I'm just floating in space until I hit scan E. Like stuff like that is nuts. But anyway.
Oh, there is something that I want to bring up that we got news of that I've been waiting all year for news of. And that is Stellar Blade, which I'm going to put, I'll put this is like a compilation of the trailers. So it's like all of them in one video. It's like 9 minutes. Stellar Blade finally got some news. This was announced at like a state of play or something. I don't remember exactly, but it was announced quite a while ago. And I was like, when are we going to hear something? Every state of play, I was like, surely we're going to get some information. And then the Game Awards, I was like, surely now is when we're getting information. And we didn't get any information, but PlayStation put out a blog today looking at their kind of 2024 releases. And Stellar Blade was mentioned in here. So it doesn't have an exact release date, but it does say 2024. And here they just have a very small write-up about it where it says, while Stellar Blade is Korean developer Shift's up first console title, the adventure is looking promising indeed. Stellar Blade is an action-adventure game making its way to PlayStation 5 next year. This hack-and-slash title puts players in control of the stylish heroine Eve as she takes on the Nativus? A force ravaging Earth while surviving humans escape to an outer space colony. Stellar Blade combines.
Cool.
It is cool.
That was at
Stellar
Project
Blade
Eve. That's what it was. Yeah.
It was Project Eve. They should change the name back.
Okay.
Stellar Blade is a worse name.
Yeah,
her name is
they didn't
still
improve
Eve. Change it back. But it says it combines sharp action with stunning visuals and a mature narrative to create something all new. Players will have to master a balance of offense and defense to survive against hordes of out-of-this-world enemies.
Yeah, till I see.
Can't wait.
Just
this
gameplay.
Lady's like, what if we made Bayonetta
just
look
gameplay.
sexy?
Hey, Bayonetta
There
is
is
pretty
just
sexy.
gameplay out there with the HUD and everything.
Yeah,
it's
it
in
looks
here.
good.
It's
No,
in the
I-
9 minutes. It's just in here somewhere.
Yeah, I didn't finish my sentence. It was like continuous gameplay of like a level and like a demo. I'm kind of curious to see some hands-on, and I don't know. I don't think they're at that stage yet, obviously, but
You
but it
know
looks-
what
I mean,
other
it does look
games
really nice.
Shift Up makes?
Mm-mm.
Nikke, Goddess of Victory. If you're wondering why her booty looks so good,
I thought
now
that
you
booty
know.
looked familiar.
I was honestly impressed with her hair. Her hair physics is absolutely insane. It's made in Unreal Engine 5, and it's a
Yeah.
PlayStation 5 game. So
There's some jiggle physics in here that'll put Dead or Alive to shame too.
Oh yeah.
TOA, man.
Oh
Jesus.
yeah.
Monka
There's
S.
a parry. You know.
No, it does. It does look great. There's just, I think, where I was getting at is there's a lot of like Unreal Engine 5 games now kind of coming around the corner that have like that. They're looking good. Like Lords of the Fallen was in that vein, and that it just kind of takes till we get our hands on it to see what's up.
Oh,
I enjoyed Lords of the Fallen.
So speaking of Unreal Engine 5, one of the concerns I think a lot of people have is like, is this going to be the end of like 60 hertz games on like the current gen of consoles like the PS5 and Series X? And I mean, maybe,
the end?
Right? What's that?
Yes.
Like it's going to make it worse?
Well, just, you know, they're going to be more demanding on the consoles, so it's less likely to see 60 FPS games shipped. But I got a new TV in my living room, and playing Liza P, they have a 40 hertz mode, and this is the first time I've used a 40 hertz mode. So you need a 120 hertz TV to play this, right? And your PlayStation will only give you the option if you have like a newish TV that'll support this. But man, it's so smooth. Like the difference between 40 and 60 is like, I don't know, like I'd have a hard time really like identifying which one was running which. Whereas like from 30 to 40 is a big jump. But apparently the frame times, like the difference between like the frame times is much closer to 60 than it is to 30. You get smooth gameplay, but plus you get all the graphical fidelity turned on. It is really nice. I've been playing Liza P in that 40 mode, and it's great. Yeah,
I was gonna say, you mentioned have to have like 120 hertz. I'm like, I guess for like the variable refresh rate and or VSync type needs, but I was going to say like God of War actually had the performance mode, which was later talked about how well it didn't really run at 60. It was probably like, you know, in between 40s, like meaning games can run at like 40, 45, 50, which it did bother. So you are actually, if you played performance mode of God of War, I wanted to point out you did experience that kind of before. It kind of felt
this
60.
Is locked at 40.
Right. And that's what I was saying. I think because of the VSync, and that might be interesting. Yeah. To see how that looks different than say God of War without the same TV support, etc.
Yeah.
How much smoother it makes it look.
Yeah, that's so point. The new TVs do have variable refresh rates, so it is harder to see when like a game is kind of messing up.
That's interesting to hear you talk about the difference between the 30 and 40 versus 40 and 60, because I look as a videographer, I'm all day looking at 24 and 30 and 60, and those are the three frame rates that I'm looking at most frequently. But like 24 to 30, you notice like, oh my gosh, like you can tell, like when you look at something in like a cinema mode, 24 frames a second versus 30, it's such a huge jump, but that's only like 6 frames per second difference. So you can imagine from 30 to 40 in those lower numbers, how big of a jump that is. And it's interesting to think, I've never considered that before.
Yeah.
It's kind of percentages, I think, though, is like, it sounds like not that much, but then it's whatever, it's 20% less when you go down to 24 or something like that. And it's like 30% more when you go up from 30 to 40. So it's actually just because you're used to seeing it, it hits harder than you'd think.
It does look really smooth. There's also a 120 hertz mode on the PlayStation 5 for Liza P, which is also pretty good. Like
they did so well with performance. Like it's perfect on Steam Deck. They really they nailed the performance across the board. Which was very nice to see this year.
Looks good.
No, it looks great.
On PC, I don't even use I think any frame scaling, resolution scaling stuff. It just ran like full on 1440p with nothing, everything ultra. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Killer.
Really good.
I'm still watching this Stellar Blade. It looks good.
Yeah.
I can't wait for that game. I saw it announced and I was like, I saw a parry and I was like, yep, when's it coming out? And then we didn't hear anything about it until now. So it was confirmed that it's coming out in 2024, at least until, we hear something of a delay. But that is literally the first time we've heard about it in a long time. So
I hope it doesn't come out on June 4th with the final shape.
Just, it
probably will.
Please don't come out in March. March is
It'll be
severely
August.
off limits. February is definitely off limits. April, honestly, don't do that either. June, you can't do that. So July onwards might be possible.
July or August, unless there's a Baldur's Gate expansion around. Or, by the way, Switch 2 or Pro, or when is that happening? That's probably the end of next year. So
you think the end of next year? I'm hoping earlier.
At this point, I was hoping early for a while too, but I just think like between
they would have announced it by now.
Where they're at and everything from the supply chain stuff they had to figure out. It's like you might as well, I guess, just wait. But sometimes in Japan they release a little early, so you never know. But I don't think they'll do that again. Actually, I wanted to ask. It wasn't a game, and don't want to spoil anything on the show. Did anybody watch Blue-Eyed Samurai?
Yeah,
on Netflix.
Briar has. Oh. I'm like 4 episodes in so far.
Do you guys like it as much as I do?
Yeah,
Banger.
Yeah, it's great.
Really, like I don't watch that much animated stuff. Not because it's animated. There's just like so many, call it real, shot cinematic stuff that I really enjoy. But man, Blue-Eyed Samurai, I just think is freaking excellent. Watch it if you haven't.
There's so much good about it. Like the art style is beautiful. The story is awesome.
Composition, music, it's
everything about it is just like
voice acting.
Yeah,
it's super awesome.
I
like it a lot.
The Japanese pronunciation of stuff is pretty bad.
Sometimes I notice that too.
Like so bad that Tomo has to read subtitles to understand what they're saying in the Japanese. So, besides
blame George
that,
Takei
though,
for that, maybe.
like everything is really, but it's kind of like if you watch anime, right? And they're doing like an American story, English. And you're like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
What's going on here? It's I'm going to get a hamburger and the Coca-Cola. Like, Jesus Christ. Okay. All right.
Does it have, I assume, a Japanese
it doesn't,
audio track?
Actually.
It doesn't. Oh, so you have to watch it this way.
But which is fine. It's just, the pronunciation of Japanese words isn't great. So
I noticed that at times
too. If you're a Japanese native speaker, maybe sometimes you don't understand what they're saying.
But it's funny because they have some Japanese folks in it, but I don't know if they speak Japanese and or their main dialect, so to speak. So
that show,
but there's a lot of English actors.
Week as the Onimusha show, Onimusha, and man, I couldn't even get through the second episode of Onimusha. I was like,
it's not great.
Clearly, it's like I played the hell out of those games. I was like, oh wow, they made an Onimusha anime. I can't wait to watch this. Oh,
I didn't even know about that. Where do you watch that? Is that on Netflix?
Netflix, yeah.
Oh,
yeah, pretty sure it is.
Well, my guess is the Blue-Eyed Samurai budget seems huge.
It's very good. The animation style reminds me of Arcane.
Yes,
like that style.
Yeah. When is Arcane season 2 coming?
Next December, 2024.
A
year away.
Did any of you watch Edge Runners, the Cyberpunk one?
I did.
I heard you did. Was it good?
I watched the first episode, and like my entire family walked out in like the first 30 seconds. You're like, there was like a huge weird nude scene. I was like, I
mean, you're describing Blue-Eyed Samurai. I don't know how far you've got into it, but beware.
Yeah, there's definitely some.
It is. We should. Yeah,
there's some nudity.
It is a very adult anime.
It's very good. Watch. The TLDR is that they kicked all of the white people out of Japan. There's a girl who is half Japanese and half some kind of white. She has blue eyes. And they treat people who are not Japanese very poorly. And she's trying to get the revenge on she doesn't know who her father is, who is the white guy. She's trying to get revenge on the guy who left her to be in that situation of being bullied.
But she doesn't know who it is, which is kind of an interesting thing because it's like,
so you gotta kill them all.
4 white dudes in Japan at the time. So she's just gonna kill all 4 of them.
Yeah, kill them all.
But they're all horrible people, though. So
so it
goes with it.
Well, as far as we know,
I think most people suck.
They're definitely not. These are all like horrible people seemingly. So. But I mean, to be fair, I've only I only know of the one so far. So, man, it really is a banger show. Watch it if you have time.
Yeah,
it also really got announced for a season 2. So if you are getting invested and you're like hoping that it's not just a one-off and you don't get to see the conclusion, there will be a season 2.
Oh, theoretically, there will be 4 seasons.
Yeah, I was wondering if it was going to be that. No spoilers. What happens in this?
I think I was like episode 2, and I was like, "Is there going to be like 4 seasons, 5 seasons, 1 season per white man?"
That's what I'm wondering. It seems like that's the goal.
Yeah, I think so.
So yeah, Blue-Eyed Samurai on Netflix.
You guys want to do some Twitter questions?
Yes.
Do it.
Let's see here. I'm gonna scroll down to the bottom. Oops. And set when the editor says, "What's the highest kill count on one weapon that y'all have?"
Ooh.
I don't do it that way. I don't know.
It's
I'd have to look it up.
The Rat
me look.
King would be my guess. I will look it up as well.
Mine's probably the Midnight Q. And
Can you check easily in dim under records?
I think you can. I'm sure you can. Mine is for sure the 20,000 kill Cartesian that I deleted on this podcast.
Oh, dang.
But for charity, you know? Yeah.
People that play PvP know this answer way sooner than people who are heavier into PvE, I think.
Yeah. Because that PvE number is hard to keep track of.
Stat trackers. How do I?
Yeah, there's got to be.
Sure, there's a way.
There's probably.
Just gonna search for the word kills.
Yeah. Well, you guys look up that. I'll do the next one.
All
Three
right.
Bros, One Controller podcast says, best scenario to be caught with your pants around your ankles.
Best what?
Best scenario to be caught with your pants around your ankles.
I mean, just using the bathroom, I guess, in the forest.
Is that how you do it? Like at the ball game, just drop those drawers down your ankles and just...
Well, if you have your pants down and you're peeing, it's like, well, I'm peeing. I have to pee. You know?
Yeah.
That's probably
Exactly.
like,
usually I'm
what's
just
the big deal?
opening the fly though. I'm not like just dropping them down to
But
my
if
ankles.
it's like first thing in the morning, you know, and you're like, you're gonna change anyway.
Yeah.
No.
Just let them
Oh yeah, in the middle of changing. Oh no, that one's wait, in the middle of changing.
and then you can be like, you walked in on me.
Yeah. What are you doing in my house this early? Come on.
Yeah.
At Mylan's house, walking to the
breakfast.
sink. That's a good one.
That
At
is a
Mylan's
good
house,
one.
when you're walking to the sink, that's a reasonable time to have your pants down.
That's right. Mylan does not have
yes.
a bathroom or doesn't have a sink in his bathroom, so he has to walk to the kitchen.
He has to walk to the
I don't know if that's true in his new house. That was his old house, right?
I think we asked him, and I think it's still true.
It's just weird. Did you find your biggest kill count?
I think for Crucible kills, I believe it is cryostasis. And that is 5,200. It's not that many because I switch weapons a lot. Hey, there's Mylan.
Mylan in chat?
There's
Okay,
Mylan.
so I figured mine out by using
most.
dim. You can do dim, kills, colon, and then you can do PvE or PvP. So I'm assuming PvE. Yeah, I was wondering if it was this. My Shattered Cipher machine gun. There's a Void. That's the one from Beyond Light, but it's got unrelenting auto holster on it, auto loading holster. And man, I just have it on with my Void build all the time because I'm just shredding the whole room and everything's exploding. And I keep getting my health back. And I'm like, I'm just not going to take this off unless I need to do mad DPS. So yeah, that was over 3,000 kills. So yeah, I don't have anything that's like crazy, but I guess that's decent. Yeah, actually 4,725 on that one.
You know when you watch like a ball game or something and like streakers come out on the field and like you're impressed because they did a really good job of like avoiding security, right? They're like juking and jiving and like everybody is laughing because like the naked guy can't get caught by security. Security's falling all over themselves. Well, how much more impressive would it be if they still had their pants around their ankles?
I mean, it would be impressive.
That's
True.
No.
True.
No.
Yeah, impressive. I say impressive. Yep.
Blazing18 says, it's the end of the year and you still haven't used your one free slap this year. Who's catching the palm?
Briar for not playing Pikmin 4.
What? You're going to use your slap
for lying
on me?
about it. Well, you bet you. And for wearing Crocs. It's going to be it's
I'm
double
wearing
slap.
I should get my Crocs.
And the backhand.
I'm going to get my Crocs. Hold
no. Feet
I am
stream.
wearing Crocs and socks as we speak.
I mean,
Merino
you can only if you show them on your disgusting feet right now. Prove it.
It's so hard to bring my foot like so high.
Yeah, nobody wants to see that. It's also, you'd have to like fall out of your chair to do it. It's a lot of flexibility. Are you wearing socks with the Crocs?
Yeah, of course. It's
just only fashion crimes.
I got new socks, actually. This is the one thing I asked for. I asked everybody in my family for the same gift this year.
Oh my God,
I want
hate it.
merino wool socks. and I got a bunch of them, and I'm happy.
Oh, that's really nice though. That is very comfortable and nice and warm.
I didn't get any socks for Christmas this year, and I'm really disappointed because like that is the one time of year I really need socks. Like legitimately would enjoy someone gifting me a pair of socks.
Yeah, it's ridiculous how the worst present you could have gotten when you were 6 years old becomes the best present you can get.
Exactly, I know.
Comfort, man.
So I don't know who I would slap, but I feel like I might receive a slap after finding out what my highest kill count was. I've got Crucible opponents defeated 13,500 on my old Arantel FR4, the original solar one from like base D2.
Wow.
It still has a solar damage mod attached to it with like the old masterwork and everything. Oh my gosh. Back when you could change elements of a weapon. Remember those days?
Wait.
That's so weird. I know. That was a thing.
When it wasn't an exotic like hard light? Wait, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Legendary energy weapons, you could change their energy to be like whatever you wanted to. It was a mod slot, and you could be arc or
when
solar.
Destiny 2 first launched?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. The first Arantel that there ever was. I have almost 14,000 kills on it.
I think I had like 27k on Rat King and PvE, but yeah, I think Cryosthesia is my most for PvP.
That's awesome. I'm glad you showed me how to do this, friend.
Yeah.
I'm really interested in.
I still don't understand.
Shout out to Dim. If you go into your Dim and just do kills : you'll see it. Kills : and then
colon
PvP. Yeah.
And you can do like greater than, and I just started
do
putting
greater
in big
than
numbers.
Mm-hmm. Do greater than like 5,000 and see how much stuff shows up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and PvP, I'm pretty bad. I have 562 kills with the Astral Horizon Trial Shoddy because that's it. Shows you how much I play PvP. But yeah, shout out to Nation of Beasts, by the way, which I've just crushed on a ton.
That is my highest in PvP.
What is?
Cryosthesia.
Oh.
So I got Crocs for Christmas. Hashtag Crocs for Christmas.
I saw a picture of these.
These are
look at the lightning
Crocs. So these are Gojo's Crocs. That's
and they're
this
better
guy.
than most Crocs.
It looks like you're relaxing so fast with that lightning bolt, you know?
So Crocs did an official collaboration with Jujutsu Kaisen. So for Christmas, I got Jujutsu Kaisen Crocs, and these are Gojo's Crocs, and they also have official gibbets.
Oh, there's more?
So I got the official gibbets.
Do we need some blue-eyed samurai gibbets or whatever they are?
Yeah.
Giblets?
I'm gonna wear them every day.
Gizzards. They're shiny. The lightning is shiny.
Yeah.
That's your second pair of Crocs?
My second pair. My other ones are Barbie platform
Hopefully the
Crocs.
last.
Yeah, those are pretty good.
No, they do collabs with so many cool things.
That's right. Because Crocs.
I mean, I'll give them that. They've really, good job on that. I mean, one of these days they're going to sponsor the podcast, and then I will be silenced.
I've been working on that one for years, Fran.
Till then. Okay.
That's why we didn't do Christmas presents, because Fran would have gotten 7 pairs of Crocs, and he would have left.
I mean, I don't get it, man. They're like these weird, like, plastic shoes you put on like dolls and like what? I don't understand the like. Aren't they all like rubber and hard?
They're just comfortable.
Rubber?
The point is that they're comfortable. Like you see, that's why you see a lot of most nurses now are wearing Crocs because
they have like a soft
super
sole.
Comfy.
I guess. Like meaning, what's the sole? Not the sole. The insole.
There is no insole. It's just foam rubber all the way through.
It looks like they're for like cooking meth. They're like, what are they for? Like,
you can do that.
You can easily,
I'm not judging.
Like, you can wash the blood off real easy.
It takes a while to cook meth. You're gonna want to be comfy on your feet, you know.
Right? How are they? They're just like a hard rubber shoe. You guys are fooled, man.
The whole point is that they're comfy. Yeah. That's like they got super people. It's like when you first get sweatpants for the first time, and you're like, well, now I live in sweatpants.
Right.
You are not comparing Crocs to sweatpants. I'm not having that. No,
I can't believe you think they're not not
No
comfy,
shot.
Fran. The whole reason they popped off is because they're comfortable.
Watson Briar convincing me to buy my wife a pair of Crocs right now.
Oh,
like,
yes.
You
it's all about the
should.
comfort, you know. Now,
Fashion crime.
should I?
Yeah.
When I went to that Christmas thing where there was a woman who was working like the ticket thing. She's been standing for like 7 hours. She was wearing Crocs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I tell you what.
They make
if
great slippers too.
I
for
wore them
around the
like
house.
slippers. Yeah, in the house. There's not a fashion crime. Then maybe.
See,
And I would
Austin
also
has
want them to
said
be,
my
like,
mother
fuzzily
is a
lined.
nurse and she's been wearing Crocs since like 2008.
Is
then
there
her
That doesn't
feet
make it
are
right.
is there a fancy enough version of it that I could wear them to film a wedding in?
Yes.
Yeah, they make loafer.
There you go,
Briar's
I'm
freaking
begging you, man.
loafer Crocs.
Yeah.
Okay. Because
Briar's
Please,
got loafer
dude.
Crocs.
These are a little beat up, but this is essentially what they look like.
That's not a good example, Briar. Put
Yeah,
that down.
they're a little beat up.
Well, those look more like moccasins. Like
These are a couple
Those-
years old.
those look like those aren't made of like tires.
No, they're made out of canvas, but they have like the Croc material as the sole.
Mm.
The Croc material. What is Croc material?
Croc Light patent pending.
I didn't know. Okay, I gotta try on some Crocs.
I
all
know.
right?
Just
Hey,
But
try
I'm
'em on.
not wearing
Try 'em on.
them, and people can see them.
That's fine.
Can we agree they're a fashion crime at least, or no?
I cannot after all of the fashionable people that have collaborated with Crocs. I can't do it.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely not.
We can look
That's
back
a
on.
hype beast started wearing them because they
Mhm.
started collabing with certain
I'm
people.
gonna pull some pictures from the early 2000s about collabs back then too that supposedly made things acceptable.
Did any of you do the Destiny story this week?
Yeah,
Because we
No,
just
but I
got
read the
asked, did we
spoilers
talk
from
about
the
the
leak.
Destiny story? So
we
I
did
did.
not.
I have not done it. Fran, you're our lore guy. What happened?
There's too much
please don't make
grinding
me
to
try.
do.
I mean, there is a big thing. Actually, no, wait. The biggest thing was still from last week in the exotic quest,
Yeah.
right? The
Okay.
revelation of the
We can wait
Ahamkara
then.
stuff. Yeah, I'm not going to spoil it.
Yeah.
But that was big. But basically, without spoiling it, still, it's just that Osiris and Mara get even closer
Oh.
to the truth here, but it makes Osiris realize, which I'd brought up previously. I'm like, aren't we going in through the final shape door no matter what? Like, what's the stakes? But
Yeah,
but basically, Osiris is got it right, is getting closer and he's like, oh, I have an idea, Guardian. It's like, that's a terrible impression. But yeah, he goes back to the lab and he's like, yeah, I think I've got it. I think I've figured it out. And it relates to Riven and this whole thing that's going on right now. So
Well, so
that's basically it. And then you
Oh,
got to
yeah.
wash your eggs. So you got to wash your eggs. Is that this week?
The only thing I saw was people talking about the Bungie spoiled the end of the season in game.
The only reason I'm playing, right? Oh, they spoiled in the game?
Yeah.
Correct.
I
Yeah,
didn't
in the
see it.
description of a quest step, I believe.
Oh,
So I won't
bother.
say anything, but
I haven't
yeah,
seen
it
it.
was it was in game. It was
I
in
heard
game.
I
It's not a
missed it.
leak. It's not like any of that stuff. It's in the game.
Is it on a quest card or like where should I avoid actually? Do we know?
Is it when you pull up the ghost and
Seasonal
it describes
pass
the
or-
mission or something? I don't know for sure. I don't
Just
know.
wash your eggs. You wash your eggs this week. Stay away from lore
Okay,
cards
at the
that
end of the holo projector, at the end of the weekly quest this week.
I read that though. So it's the description of the readout to what Osiris is talking about.
Did you finish
I thought
reading
that's
it,
just-
or did you really read it, Fran?
I did, but again, it all washes over me. I'm like, I'm going into final shape, and I'm gonna go talk to Cade. Like, I'm like, I don't know.
Down
Osiris
at the
is gonna be like,
bottom, in the post dialogue holo projector.
I read it. It didn't strike me as a spoiler, but it probably was, I guess. Good. I forgot it already.
Perfect.
Maybe it stood at maybe. Yeah, I read it and reading it, I feel like there's more story coming, but maybe I'm gonna realize next week though, where it was like, no, that was
That was the
the
story.
end of the
Like, you
story that
read it
were
and, like,
reading.
yeah. So anyway,
I would
Yeah, I
use
think-
my annual slap on my neighbor, who I just talked to my plow
All
guy,
right.
who he stole from me.
you got a plow guy?
My plow
Stole
guy,
Or-
said, I can't come there anymore because your neighbor fired me, and I'm like, I'm embarrassed to like be there.
Did he really say that? Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Like he doesn't want to be around this guy.
That is definitely time for Molotov cocktails.
He was my plow guy. We had a good plow guy, plowy relationship. My neighbor just stole this dude, then fired him, and now my plow guy doesn't want to come around.
Okay, by the way, side note,
up.
on the spoiler stuff, I'm sorry. I have to laugh at this.
Yeah.
That's really messed up.
I was in the middle of the cutscene, I think if I've got it right, and they talk about someone doing something important in the story. I was like, wait, when did that happen? I was like, I don't know. I must have missed it because I'm always reading chat a little. But something big happened. And I was like, wait, when did that happen? But I don't know. I still feel like I'm missing something with that character because they're like, anyway, I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but they do say that. And I was like, yeah, I guess so. I guess it's a big spoiler for who is getting us into the final shape big time, maybe, or something. But
I feel like it's so difficult to do story stuff right now because there's so much FOMO around the rest of the parts of the game. Like the story, I feel like it just moves so slow right now. And like you said, friend, like we already know we're getting in, so there's not this like urgency. And whereas like the dawning ends like any day now, like there's like stuff that like I literally won't be able to do again unless I do it now. So the story kind of like gets put on the back burner for me.
But yeah, it's mostly all story this week. I think you wash an egg. And the biggest thing that I keep bringing up is the gameplay loop. I just can't believe every time I see like, oh, new mission called whatever. It's wash your egg mission. And then I get in there and I'm like, yep, well, this week, actually, it wasn't even, I mean, it might have been that. And then it was like, you have to do Riven's Lair or the Coil, which are the same thing, basically. But you do it like 3 times in a row. And kind of like what we talked about, it's like, you sent me back to the Lost Sector in, way back from, I almost said Forspoken, Forsaken. Right?
Yeah.
But anyway, you sent me back to, I was like, well, I was okay to go do that because I haven't played this in a while, but those Lost Sectors don't hold up as well. But I'm like, yeah, why not just send me to I'd rather do any other like side mission or Lost Sector than go back to the frickin' Riven's Lair or Coil right now. But they're part of it is they try to keep the population up, obviously. It's part of why they're sending you there, I think. Anyway.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, that doesn't make it right though.
You
Just
had
like
to
Crocs.
do a tincture this week.
Yeah, I did. I drank my tincture.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Okay.
Fran doesn't remember anything about what happened.
Actually, okay, but that's no. But actually, shout out to that. Thank you to space jumping. You do, and it's not a spoiler. They take you back to the Ascendant Realm, which was always badass. And I wonder what players who have never played it are feeling when they get in there.
Yeah,
but you know where the knights are chasing you. Yeah, you like go through, and I was like, actually, that was fun to go back there. They just sort of throw it at you, but that was good. Yeah, they did what I was talking about on that one. Okay, thank you. Shout out. But then I still had to go play. Okay, I still had to play Riven's Lair.
Okay, thanks, Punchy. That was good. That was nice. And the last week was
I'm gonna let you have it.
Exotic mission.
You know what? They soured it. They sent me back to Riven's Lair after that, and all I could think about, I was consumed with like, just don't want to play this anymore. Not the game, the Riven's Lair.
I wish they would leave those activities, Riven's Lair and the Coil, for more of like the repetitive, like seasonal stuff. Like if you're wanting to grind out the weapons, like use that, not for, hey, go do this and then you get the story. Hey, go do this and then you get the story. Hey, go do like I'll go do that if I'm grinding something. But if I just want to see what happens, like just let me see what like let me either like let it be a story mission or let me just see it. Like give me it like right away.
Yeah, it's all player engagement. Yeah, and yeah. I mean, it says something that, and again, sure, I'm an idiot. My bad. But it does say something that it's sort of like it starts to wash over you where you're like, I've just already been doing this. Like, it's not variety. There's not enough variety. I'm going to go to the Howl Projector. Like, dude, it happened again this week. You're talking to Osiris, and it's actually a cool little cutscene about getting in and talking to Riven. Actually, Mara gets pissed at Riven, and there's this big moment with Osiris, which is kind of cool. He's, like, holding their back. But I'm like, that's cool. And then, like, he leaves, and it's like, what do I do next? And I went to the Howl Projector, and he talked to Osiris. I'm like, you're just standing there, like, every week. Just tell me you're here.
So, Briar, you should get your plow guy to come back, and you should wage a war together.
I agree. Like,
You should plow the
He's got
snow
a
from
plow.
yours onto his driveway.
Ooh,
Now you're talking.
that's good.
That is good.
No,
I
this
like
is
it.
like. Did you guys ever watch Malcolm in the Middle?
Mm-hmm.
There's an episode where Hal, he's trying to get rid of a bunch of trash, but then the point is he tries to like get back at the trash guy, and the trash guy answers back by bringing half the landfill to his front yard. Like I wouldn't escalate with the plow guys.
you
All
should
I'm
ask.
saying.
No, Paul guy and me
No,
are on
no,
the
no.
same team.
It's on his team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
We're going
okay.
against a neighbor who fired the plow guy
Yeah.
Okay.
before
bad.
Christmas.
Yeah. Before
Ooh,
Christmas.
Yeah.
Buko 16 says, let's try this again. What would you name the reindeer?
Pookie.
Pookie?
Pookie, the pink-nosed reindeer.
I like Pookie.
Be pink.
It's pretty good.
You're right. It does have to.
It's got a ring to it. It works.
Pookie.
I've always been partial to the name Bruce. I've tried to name the last 4 pets that we've gotten in this house Bruce, and my wife is ardently against it. But I feel like Santa's reindeer, I don't feel like Mrs. Claus gets to have a say in the reindeer. Those aren't pets.
No.
They're more like, like utilities. Like It's like buying a car. You get to name my car. I name my car.
Yes.
Why Bruce? It's like a Batman thing, or are you just a big
I just think it's a good name, and it's
Bruce?
unused in our
Bruce.
household.
Must come from somewhere. Big fan of
I like it. I
people
like
from the
Archibald,
70s
too.
with mustaches. That's what I picture with Bruce. Some dude from the 70s with a big burly mustache.
Yeah, like one of those
Yeah,
big
Bruce.
boys.
Yeah, exactly.
Zachary Richard says, speed round. Dino nuggets or Ritz with cheese and kielbasa. Love you, Fran.
Dino nuggets.
Well, okay,
Nugs.
Lego. They didn't know what Dino Nuggets is. They had no
What?
idea. They had never heard
I
of Dino
didn't.
Nuggets. Yeah, and Briar.
Wait, what was the comparison?
enough.
It was. Would you rather have? What was it? Would you rather have?
I don't.
Dino nuggets
Totino's
or
Pizza Rolls.
Ritz with cheese and kielbasa.
No, the last one.
No, the last one I was in
Last
when it
week's.
came up. It
Oh,
was
it
pizza
was
rolls or like
Dino
Dino
nuggets
nuggets.
or
Oh,
pizza bites.
pizza rolls.
Pizza
Yeah.
rolls.
Pizza bites,
Pizza
whatever.
rolls.
Didn't know
I'm
what
in.
Dino Nuggets are.
Yeah,
I
but
was
the
like,
fact that you didn't
they're
know.
literally chicken
No.
nuggets in the shape of dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Again, I don't
Isn't
get
that a-
when y'all are. I was like, aren't these for kids? Like, you guys must have
But
kids.
weren't you
or
a kid
family.
at one point?
Yeah, but I
when
never
the
got Dino
nuggets
Nugs.
He
You
never
guys were
got Dino
fancy.
Nuggets.
We just got.
That is a sad childhood.
I
kind
have
of
kids.
frozen
It's like
Never
be
bought
like,
Dino
what are
nuggets.
SpaghettiOs?
No,
probably
that's
healthier.
way
I've never
more
heard of
popular.
SpaghettiOs.
Again, there's no way that like pizza rolls versus Dino Nugs, or there's like way different a chasm
They're
of
chicken
popularity.
nuggets.
Exactly.
I like
We
chicken
should
nuggets.
I
call
bet
them
it's
that.
debatable how much chicken is in those nuggets.
Yeah. No, there's no
There's
Dino.
debatable how much meat is in most of what you guys get.
Not in a pizza roll. There's no meat in a pizza roll.
Yeah, and I want to be clear with Chad, who's still bagging on me. It's not that I couldn't figure out what Dino Nugs were. It was like, why is this so like? Oh yeah, of course, Dino Nugs. Like, it was like everybody knows about them, but me apparently.
Yeah, so Mylan says, this is hot from Mylan. I'm allergic to chicken. Never had Dino Nuggets, and even I know of Dino Nuggets.
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't even know you could be allergic to chicken.
He's allergic to chicken. Yeah.
Huh.
He's
Sorry
chicken
to
a
hear
chicken. Just eat some chicken. Power through it. Your body will adapt.
I think his like.
Don't worry about the
throat closes up.
anaphylactic
Throat
shock. You'll get
closes up.
through it.
Don't worry about dying. It's fine.
I mean,
Who needs
I
to
know some
breathe
people-
anyway?
Just have one of those EpiPens ready, and just if with every once a week,
Yeah.
give it a shot. I know some
Preventative.
people who got over their peanut allergies. It happens. But you gotta muscle through it.
I'm going
Dino
with
Nugs.
Ritz, cheese, and kielbasa.
Okay,
In this-
sorry.
Really?
So wait,
example.
Ritz.
Yeah.
Do you get to just choose what we're eating? Ritz cheese.
It's
and-
either Dino Nuggets or Ritz with cheese and kielbasa.
Oh yeah.
I'm getting Dino Nuggets, man.
Yeah, Dino
No way.
Nugs.
Dino
Oh, yeah.
Nuggets.
Since I don't know what they are, I'm gonna stick with the kielbasa.
Cordon bleu or chicken marinara?
Chicken marinara.
Chicken
Easy answer.
marinara.
Marinara. Cordon bleu is good.
Yeah.
Marinara.
Too heavy.
Celery with peanut butter or apple slices with caramel? Ooh, can I have apple slices?
Apple slices
peanut
with
butter?
caramel.
Apple slices with everything.
Yeah.
I love
Yes.
apple slices with caramel. That is
I want the
delicious.
apple slices with the peanut butter.
Yeah, I was gonna say I love celery, but I feel like if
I
you're
love celery
comparing like
too.
a sweet treat, like
Yeah.
peanut butter with celery, you can't. That one shouldn't. That's not.
What if you put a
like,
little raisins
yeah.
on there? They're like ants on a log.
It's like what?
That's
Raisins
a
thing, too.
makes it better.
Come on. Never heard
What?
of ants on a log.
You never heard of
point
ants on a
is-
I
log?
do like celery.
A celery, a vegetable or whatever, like compared to an apple sweet treat, just it's not fair.
Apple with caramel. Is
Like, meaning,
delicious.
is there something
Yeah.
else with peanut butter that you would eat?
I mean, apple and caramel.
I get
is
where it
candy.
comes from, but yeah.
delicious?
Anyway, I do
Healthy
love
candy.
celery for real. I eat celery and like light ranch or Pfeffer ranch, like crazy. It's like a snack while I'm cooking. I just love it. It's crunchy.
So
Tastes weird. It tastes weird. Also, celery salt. Side topic, but celery salt, classic Chicago dog.
That is good.
Cannot be
that
beat.
sounds good.
It's good.
Did
Oh,
you
That is
wait?
good.
Celery salt's incredible.
Did you just use "it tastes weird" as a compliment to
Yeah.
"I want to eat it"? Okay.
Yes.
I feel like a lot of
Okay,
things
wait.
that come
Tastes
from
weird.
Chicago fall into that category.
The pros.
It tastes weird, but it's good.
Quick side topic. Isn't there something that's a little like funky or weird that you're like, oh, I like it though. It's good.
Chicago pizza.
Like,
It's kind of funky, but I
I
like it.
don't know. I don't think
like
there is
boiled
for me.
eggs. They're pretty
No.
weird.
Yeah. they're pretty
Boiled
good.
don't
eggs
like
are
it.
weird. Are they weird?
If you
Pretty-
smell a
it's
boiled
like
egg before you
sulfur.
eat it,
Yeah.
you probably wouldn't eat it.
It's like in Japan. I mean, I wouldn't have this, like natto in Japan. No, thank you. That some people love it. This is fermented soybean. It's rotten, gross.
Mm.
That's extreme, but
I like
Some
it.
people
All
love
of
that
those
stuff.
Norwegian
You like natto?
fermented fishes.
I do
Oh.
like natto. I do.
I'm
Can't think of
not
It's
anything.
slimy.
gonna
So
have
yeah,
it.
that is weird. It's very,
See?
very slimy. It's like slime. Yeah.
Briar, you must have something weird.
It's like
that you
eating
like to eat.
snot.
I'm
Other
not
than
a
boiled
picky
eggs.
eater. You might not have noticed.
What about
Except he doesn't like fries.
It's not that I don't like fries. It's just I'm sick of them. It's like every meal comes with fries. It's so boring.
Well,
Yeah. well, you get tater tots?
I don't think they're that much better than fries. If there's like a coleslaw option, I'll take the coleslaw option. If there's an
You
onion
like
ring
good
option,
potato
I'll take the
salad?
onion ring. Potato salad.
What do you think
take
potato
it.
salad?
Give me a
Weird
side salad.
as well, by the way.
I realized what it is. It's not that like maybe there's a potential that there is something weird that I would like. It's just that I'm so picky that I don't eat anything that sounds weird. I'm like, nah, that's okay.
yeah.
No.
You just won't do it.
Yeah. I think
Okay.
that might be what it is.
Have you
You
ever had an
probably have some.
eggplant?
You just don't realize it.
Maybe so.
Eggplant?
Do what?
Eggplant.
I like
I
fried
love egg-
eggplant. That's good.
I love
that's
eggplant.
that's the weirdest one, right? That's like it's
Really?
purple. It looks bizarre. People use it to emote a dick on the internet.
Mhm.
Never heard of
Speaking
that.
of,
Very strange.
It is a
Strange
very
discussion.
popular emoji.
It
But
is.
that is, it's as an Italian, I'm offended. You know,
I love
Melanzana.
eggplant.
Are
My
eggplants
favorite
Italian?
order from the local Chinese place
Yes.
is an eggplant dish, and it is delicious.
Yes, Chinese like eggplant dish. I just had that
Oh.
actually on Christmas Eve.
okay.
Ooh, so good.
If you've never tried eggplant, though, and you're open to it, get yourself an eggplant parmesan
Very
sandwich.
Mm.
Very
Oh,
good.
I mean,
Delicious.
we're talking. So, or you can make it too. You just slice up your eggplant. You dip it in some egg batter. You put it in some breadcrumbs. You fry it up. You put it on crusty Italian bread. Put some, mozzarella, some sauce, some marinara on there. Oh, now you're talking.
It's delicious.
Sounds really good.
But here's
Sold
what
you
I
on
don't
that.
understand about the eggplant marinara sandwich. Why not just go with chicken parm?
Well, it's different. It's a very different texture.
Yeah,
Closer
it's
to
not-
say
it's
a
good
dino nug.
It's good, but it's not as
big
good as
di-
chicken.
I don't know how to process that one because I really love as a Parmesan sandwich, like both, but I love chicken parm. That'd be hard to
Parm is
choose
amazing.
because they're very different. I think why I'm pausing, because one is like a vegetarian option. I don't mean for vegetarian,
the
but it's like
fried
sometimes
eggplant is more healthy.
no,
Yup,
it's not about
it's a
that. It's just
vegetable.
like one is like eating a dead animal and the other is
Mm.
not. And like meaning sometimes you're just in the mood for like I don't want to eat chicken.
You don't want to eat death.
Yeah.
It's like,
I'm not a vegan, or I mean I eat the meat, but you see what I'm saying?
No.
It's like, is every soup you get have like meat in it? You never just have like veggies only. Like sometimes you're just potato soup. That's the example.
French
Potato
onion
soup.
soup.
I love potato soup. I love
With
French
bacon
onion
in it.
soup.
French onion soup.
But
soup.
there's
making
no
me
like
hungry
meat
every time.
options for potato soup where I'm like, oh, this is clearly better than what I'm eating. That it's right next to each other on the menu. Like there's like chicken parm and eggplant parm. They're like right next to each other on the menu. I'm like, who's going to
eggplant parm is in the vegetarian section.
If it's like, yeah, if it is well known,
it's on the back under the kids menu.
They make a killer chicken
way back there.
Yeah, if they make a killer, actually, yeah, that's the solution. Kind of, Mayor Watts onto it in chat was saying split the difference, but actually just get a half and half. Yeah, half chicken parm, half eggplant parm sando. You get best of both worlds.
That
we can
does
agree
sound
on that.
pretty good. I think I'm sold.
Yeah,
that
baby.
is the best option.
Let's go, baby. More is better.
Yeah.
I actually do that around here. There's a place called Hop Dotty that does really good burgers, and they do a really good veggie. It's like a black bean burger, but sometimes I just want the meat too, and so we'll often order like half. Like my wife will get just a normal burger, and then we'll split it and just put them together, and it's amazing.
Variety, the spice of life.
Yeah,
that's one of my favorite things about being married is splitting dinners. Like,
oh yeah,
I don't know what I want.
awesome.
What do you want? I'm like, she's like, I don't know. What do you want? And we'll get buy 2 dinners that we both kind of want, and then like cut them in half. And
yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I'm single right now, and I will
everything
say,
else
like,
about married sucks.
Yeah, I like being a bachelor a lot, but that's one thing that really just breaks my heart. You know, you go to order and you're like, man,
I can only get one.
I just want to split some other food in half. I don't care about the relationship and conversation. I just want to split some food.
We share shoes.
We'll get eggplant.
Oh, that's nice.
Brand.
Yeah,
that's convenient.
I'm down, Briar. I'm coming to visit.
That's convenient.
That's it. We have tons of questions this week, but we spent too long talking about Parmesan.
Just fast fire some. Let's go.
Fast fire.
Oh wait,
okay,
real quick,
I'll do
real
it.
quick before you do.
Real quick.
Before you do, I want to shout out. I met someone who Audio Doc was his name, I think, who threw Fire Team Finder on going through the dungeon this week. It was really cool. I hadn't used Fire Team Finder yet, and I just was like, I just want to farm this one encounter, and so I got to it, put up the thing. Hey, you can tag it farming. And these people joined, and then one of the guys who joined, this guy named Audio Doc, he was just like, I'm a huge, yeah. He like actually does like audio stuff for your ears, like he like
is it dog
sees
or
people
doc?
for that. Doc, yeah.
Like doctor.
So I was talking to him about.
Did you check if he was an MD? A lot of people out there pretending to be medical doctors, audio doctors. Does he have an audio MD?
I don't know.
An audio MD. You mean like ear, nose, and
throat,
or like
Doobie Brothers? That's what I want to know.
I just know that he did custom in-ear molds, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm familiar with
So
that. I've done that.
Yeah.
Audiologist.
That's what I was gonna say. Is like that's like I don't think they're like an ear, nose, and throat doctor. They're they make like in-ear audio device. Yeah, which is actually a very like it's a tricky profession. It's very specialized.
Yeah, which I have like somewhat background in audio, and so it was cool talking with him about that. But he like immediately, as soon as I joined, he was like, "Oh, Lego, I love DCP," and I was like, "Oh, whoa, cool!" And so just like meeting people, interacting with the community in that way, and just such a casual way. And then we just farmed the dungeon a few loops, and so it was really fun, just going through and having that experience. I'd never used Fire Team Finder before, and just immediately just kind of meeting new people, meeting friends. I did it a few different times after that, and had like a few where it was like people didn't know what we were doing, but we always made it through, always, whether they had mics or not. So cool experience there. Just wanted to give a shout out to that.
It's a little more pressure knowing there's an audio doctor listening to the podcast. I really got to get this right this week. Gotta nail it.
In Briar's defense, we're drunk.
Oh yeah, we're all drinking. Yeah, we're good.
That's true.
Wow, I had coffee. Loser.
Casper J says, "Is there or has there been a Destiny character you just don't like? Maybe it was the design or voice actor or something they did in game or bad character development." Crow.
Ooh.
I'm not buying anything from this dude. I watched him shoot my favorite character in the face, and now I'm just gonna buy. Oh, I don't remember any of that. I remember.
I'm not a huge fan of recent Osiris. He was cooler when Brother Vance was talking.
He was cooler before we met him. He got the more we knew about him, the less cool he got.
Yes.
That's mine, Watts, Brother Vance.
Yeah.
But the initial like the part of him that we always saw, because the part in the lore where he like fights himself when the darkness comes is amazing. Like I want to see that side of him. But like him as he presents himself to us in the game,
remember when he was just like a cool hot guy in D1, and then it was
yeah, he got way less.
He was a
cool.
fanboy.
Oh yeah.
I've never really liked the Cryptarch. Be honest, dude's annoying me constantly. He's always talking over. I'm in the tower. I'm like, shut up. Wow, that looks fine. Mind your own business. So I'm gonna say the Cryptarch.
Destiny 1 players got a bad first impression with that guy too.
Yeah,
when you bring him a purple engram and you give you a blue weapon. Fuck that guy.
Crazy.
Dude is suspect. You see?
Can't believe that
bad
was a thing.
first impression from the Cryptarch.
Screw that guy.
Yeah. Blandy McBlanderson says, for those of you with cats, if your cat were the size of a large dog, like a German Shepherd or a Doberman, how long do you think it would be before they casually murdered you?
Oh,
Bella would never.
30 minutes. Top.
Bella would never. She's such a cuddly little baby. She just wants to cuddle and snuggle all day. And so I sometimes go upstairs and she's just in our big bed. She's snuggled in there by herself, passed out. And I'm just like, oh, hello. She's a big stretch. And then she will not let me do anything in the morning until she's had at least an hour of cuddles. I am banned from doing anything. Yeah, she loves me.
If you die, she will eat you.
Probably Bella. Yeah,
if she's hungry, but that's okay.
Yeah,
because she wouldn't attack me if she's big.
Mm-hmm. That's different than killing someone.
As long as you keep her well fed.
As you know, Briar, and I'm glad that you've finally come around. Right? You know,
she doesn't really like hunting either. She's kind of just she's a really domesticated cat.
She's fed, right? It's a cat that
because when we were in England, she was half inside, half outside because we were in the country, and she just no interest at all. Tobias would bring them home, torture them until they died, and then eat their head. Not their body, the skull. Just the skull.
Did he bring the dead bodies to you as tribute?
He brought them to the home and smacked them against the wall until they died.
But he didn't leave them in a specific place?
No.
Unlike Bella.
Oh, see, I had a cat that would leave them on my clothes.
Check this out.
And I felt like, this is a cat I can rely on. He brings me food right from his kill.
Bella would be very bad at living
a relationship that I could trust.
It's like you said it in a way that you actually eat what they were bringing you. You're like, he brings me food. It wasn't like he brings me
for ceremonial purposes only.
It sounded very confirming. Like,
he brought me some dino nuggies, and I was like, thank you.
We have two cats. One cat is 12 pounds fully grown, and the other cat is like 24 pounds fully grown. So if the small cat is the size of the German Shepherd, how big is the big cat? Because that cat will fuck you up.
You're kind of describing like a little
you know what I do
lion.
If Bella's that big, I'm for sure walking her around. I mean, I walk her around the neighborhood anyway, but instead of people looking at me and me going they'll be like, oh Jesus, that's a lion.
True.
Our problem is that
flex.
Since our kid was born, which was 3 years ago, the cats have not adjusted to there being a child in the house, and they will literally, one of them will literally just hide until he goes to bed, and then he'll come out. It's like, dude, at some point you have to adjust to the environment. And then 4 weeks ago we got a little puppy, and so now they're just done. They're like, we're gonna kill y'all. Like, and so if they were if they were big enough to do it, they would do it for sure.
Yeah. See, I think I can, in a one-on-one fight, I think I could take a German Shepherd. Like, one-on-one fight, I think I could take a German Shepherd. I'm not going to come out unscathed, but I think I could do it.
Yeah.
But if you made a cat the size of a German Shepherd, I'm not so sure I come out of that alive.
Like,
they got their nails as well as their mouth.
They're hard to grab onto. They're very
slippery.
And they're like,
slinky.
Yeah.
King of the jungle.
That one's going to keep me up tonight, Blandy.
So we've been feeding stray cats, but now we have an opossum that comes and eats some of the cat food. Bella does not care about it at all. She's just like, what's this weird? What's this? What am I supposed to do with this thing?
Yeah.
She doesn't care. She doesn't care about it at all.
Huh.
Not a care in the world.
We have a bird feeder outside our living room window, and my cats look at this bird feeder like they're hunting, but there's glass.
It's so fun.
So you're never gonna hunt. You're just,
it's entertaining for them.
Yeah, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Basil says you could change the accent of any character in the Destiny universe. What dialect and which character would you pick? Lord Shaxx with a southern accent screaming, "Go on, get during a multi-kill" would be amazing. Happy New Year. Much love. Basil, if you haven't changed your audio language to Japanese, I highly suggest you do this. The game is hilarious with everybody screaming. It is awesome. Do it. Try it for a little while.
I have heard it sounds amazing.
It does sound amazing. Anybody got a pick?
I
think you nailed it.
Yeah, all right. Well, that's available. You don't even have to match it. You can just go into the options and change it.
You know, Shadow brings up, he said Shaxx would be great with a Scottish accent. That would be pretty good.
Yep.
Someone's been watching Blue-Eyed Samurai. That's what I'm saying.
That would be good.
Oh, crushing it, go.
Aang says, besides Destiny, what's one game or game series that you always go back to? For me, it's the Arkham series. Much love to you guys. Thank you for the podcast.
That's a stellar choice right there.
Monster. I'm doing it right now.
Yeah.
Like 5 years later. It's I'm back.
I don't go back to a lot of games. Just don't have the time.
The OG Pokemon, like red, yellow, or blue. Usually it's red, sometimes yellow. But I just like starting it over, like from the beginning with nothing, and then just playing it through. Just even if I don't finish the whole thing, it's just the experience of like that very first nostalgic pick.
I can play Castlevania until the cows come home. It doesn't even matter which Castlevania I'm playing. I kind of like them all. I even I bought a physical copy of the most recent Dead Cells expansion because they had Castlevania DLC in it. Like I'm just kind of, I just love Castlevania. I think that's part of why I like the Dark Souls games, because they just remind me of Castlevania. What do you think? 3 more?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay.
Do it.
Rapid fire.
Rick Vernhoot says, Vernhoot, would you leave the helmet on? What's your favorite drink and sauce? Leave the helmet on, like during sex?
That was sounded like that too. What was the second part?
Yes.
Favorite drink and sauce.
Drink in sauce?
Drink and sauce.
Not in.
Oh, I was like,
2 separate
drinking
things.
sauce?
What's your favorite drinking sauce?
Yes,
I love hot
Dr. Pepper and Frank's Red Hot sauce.
Frank's Red Hot sauce is very good.
It's so good.
Alcoholic drink? I can't remember the name of it. But it's a soju. I found it in H Mart. It's got a bunch of different flavors. I actually went to a gathering somewhere recently, and I bought like a 6-pack of it, and everyone who tried it was obsessed with it. So it's so good. I'll try and remember the name.
My favorite drink and sauce are related because my favorite sauce comes from the wing joint down the street. It's like this mango habanero hot sauce for wings. That's delicious. Not too hot, though. You can still taste the flavor, but it's a little spicy. It's just hot enough that you need my favorite drink to wash it down, which is beer.
Nice. Yeah, you just went with the broad category.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw out, in the alcoholic realm, Campari I'm a big fan of. But then sauce, I just love hot sauce so much. I like to mix it up. But if I had to choose, it's actually something that's not hot. It's just like Crystal. Just like a, Tabasco style, but Tabasco's a little too vinegary, where Crystal's like right in the middle. And I can put it on everything.
Mogi9 says, you have to go to prison. You can pick to go every weekend for 4 years or go for 1 year straight.
Every weekend for 4 years?
Yeah.
4 years.
Yeah.
Or 1 year straight.
What's
so
the math on
52
that?
weekends.
52
yeah, I know.
2 is like...
Let's assume it's the same for simplicity of the question. Let's assume they're the same amount of days. So it's weekends I mean, I hope that's
I'm gonna rip
question.
the Band-Aid off. Eat your broccoli first kind of guy. I'm going for a year. To
Yeah,
ruin every
same.
weekend for the next 4
Yeah.
years. Fuck that. That's misery.
Yeah, I think
agree.
it's gonna be
Yeah.
hard to like take a break, but you're gonna have to adapt. And I feel like you'd adapt for a while, and then a year hopefully is enough to come out. Whereas you're just gonna be, by the time you're whatever into your second, third year of trying to go, you'd be like, I can't do this anymore.
Maybe I can go to prison for a year and just spend. I will have time to do whatever I want as long as it's in prison. So I will learn Japanese fluently in the
That's a
year
good
that I'm
idea.
in prison.
Also
Then I
a good
come
way to
out
look at
feeling
it.
good.
Come
Yep,
out
just
with a
keep your
degree.
head down. We're assuming this
Degree.
is like a safe prison. We're not gonna die as well. I mean, either way,
Nah, no one's gonna kill me in there. It's
Yeah.
fine. I'm sure.
I'll get a doctorate in audio.
get huge. We get
Yeah.
huge and read. Yeah, this sounds
Yeah,
good.
you
Let's
can-
go.
Yeah.
Let's
I need
go.
a year
I
off.
think
I
I
need
would
a year
thrive
off
in
to
year
focus.
break.
I think we'd have
We're
a
up.
great time.
Take a year off Destiny, read, get
Right?
jacked.
You can come
Let's
out,
do it,
like,
man.
everything's gonna be so much fresher. Food is gonna taste better. The sky is gonna be bluer, and you're gonna have a bunch of new friends who know how to do all sorts of cool stuff. You have new skills.
Bunch of new friends. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Look at
You
Danny
get 3
Trejo.
squares a day. You get a bed. You don't
Dude's
have
great.
to pay any bills for a year. Think of the low, like the low stress. It's like the optimum like low stress living, right? You don't have any bills. You don't have any responsibility. People tell you when to go outside, when to come inside, eat, go to bed.
If you get injured, you get health care
Right?
Yeah.
Where do you get better health care than in prison?
Yeah.
outside of America, but in
I hope there's
America,
nobody-
probably better in prison.
Yeah. I do want to say, if in the off chance, but you never know that somebody's in prison and listening to this. Like, obviously, we don't think it's going to be.
We don't think it's cool. I don't think
I'm
it's
just all of a sudden I was
happy
like,
time.
man, what if I'm listening to this podcast and hearing you answer this question right
Yes,
now? I'm
I
like,
would,
you know what?
we obviously know that it's
know,
not a
it's
good
joking.
time in
I'm
prison.
joking.
We're just saying
I'm
that
not
4
convinced.
years of losing your weekend.
No, nobody
So
takes
we could
it
just
serious.
do
But I
a
was-
year and focus on doing something for the year.
Safe from getting barbecued.
Yep.
Do they
Right?
have
I mean-
the availability to barbecue people in prison? Because then Briar should be worried.
I don't think
Yeah,
they have
true.
access to grills or grilling equipment.
Maybe
I
not.
don't think they let criminals have propane in prison.
They might barbecue for them, though. That could happen.
Mr. Aries says, New Year's shows are always such fun. Another year down and excited for what's to come. Yo, Aries. Always good to see
Hey,
you.
Aries.
Good ride.
This is our final show of the year.
Yes.
That's why
Final
we're drunk,
question.
drinking. Yep.
That's right. Last show of the night says, Mr. Good Bites. It's December 28th, 2043. 2043. That's 20
43.
years in the
Okay.
future.
20 years in the future.
And
Okay.
on January 1st, 2044, Destiny 5 launches. 5.
Okay. 5. Wow.
Okay.
I mean, I'd be pretty excited if it was Destiny 5 in 20 years from now. I doubt it though. What platforms is it on, and what's it look like? Oh,
It's
on your
definitely on mobile for sure.
yeah.
Like mobile
on
is
your
like fully caught up and
hollow
it's on mobile.
contact lens device implant.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna
VR.
say.
It's probably got a
It's
VR
It's just
version.
in your
VR.
eyes. There is
Yeah.
no device.
Right.
It's like Sword Art Online.
Just turn it on.
Close your eyes and you're there. Game time.
Yeah.
Bye.
That Black Mirror episode.
Bye.
Pretty much.
Yeah. But the microtransactions
but it still
are a
looks-
bitch.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't look away because it's in your eyes. It's just
right.
like,
This is gonna
don't
cost you a
know.
fortune.
I can't even blink. I can't.
And it still has the same seasonal model, by the way. So I hope you're ready.
All right. Thank you all for listening. We really appreciate it. Have a wonderful
Thanks,
New Year's. I hope
everybody.
you're having a wonderful holiday season.
Be
I think
safe.
we'll be back next week.
Yep.
That's right.
Yeah.
Your mission
Yes.
is to play Monster Hunter World. Anyone listening?
Yeah.
It's currently like $9 on Steam. Real
Yeah, you
cheap.
definitely want to play on PC if you have the option.
Yeah, play it on PC. It's got a huge amount of players playing right now. So if you want to do online stuff, there's loads of people there. It took the Destiny community by storm
It really
5
did.
years ago.
It really did. That was
It was
5
just
years
such
ago.
5 years ago.
Jesus.
It was just such an easy shift because it's like, what do Destiny players like? Good combat and grinding for loot and making builds and stuff. Yeah. Boom. There you go.
There you
There you
go.
go. I got it.
I think that was before we had builds really in Destiny, right? Before we had like transmog.
5 years ago. Definitely before transmog and before all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe easy builds.
Easy builds. Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
Thank you all for joining us this week. Have a wonderful whatever you're doing. And we'll see you. We'll see you in 2024.
Next year.
Yeah.
2024, baby.
Bye, y'all.
Have a good one.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.